In 2017, it was actually started at Louisiana Tech University with a small community conference. That was a great success. Eventually, Binghamton University in New York, they wanted to start the same conference in that location. So we wanted to have a separate communities running it parallelly, the same conference. Later in Bangalore, Christ University wanted to start for the Bangalore community. So the conference actually started with a beautiful intention of connecting universities and local community initiatives where they are doing a lot of community service activities with a lot of wonderful people in the community.
I see LED conference as a platform for people to gather, for people to network. And as far as I've seen, every single person that has come to the conference has an objective to create an impact in society. So I think LED conference is the perfect place for that.
How do you see LED conferences?
It's a movement, it's community work coming together to make a difference.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Doing good? On behalf of the ULM administration, the Let Us Dream conference organizers, and the conference volunteers, we welcome you to the first ever Let Us Dream conference held on this campus of ULM. My name is Ashawn Fields, and I am a senior majoring in communication.
Good morning, and my name is Vincent Winston. I am a senior political science major right here at the university, and today we will be your host. I want to go into a little bit about this program. This past summer, we were fortunate enough to serve as mentors for the Let Us Dream intervention program. This program, held right here on ULM's campus, was designed for middle schoolers in Monroe and surrounding areas. It was a privilege to serve and make an impact on the lives of young students. I look forward to continuing my involvement with this program in the future. Dr. Lejo Thomas, also known as Father Lejo, is a proud ULM alum, and he is the founder of the Let Us Dream organization. Under his leadership, the Let Us Dream organization has created partnerships with several universities in the United States and internationally. Since 2017, local conferences have been held on the campuses of both Tech and Grambling, and plans are to develop further partnerships to the Let Us Dream message of unity, interaction, and service to other communities in the U.S. and other countries.
The Let Us Dream organization is dedicated to promoting and advancing three key service initiatives: social, educational, and health. During this conference, you'll hear from the panelists representing each of these areas as they share insight about successful programs to discuss practical ways that you can make an impact within your own communities. Our goal is to inspire and motivate you to return home ready to engage with others who share similar visions for a positive change. Please refer to the schedule or agenda on your table for the order and presentation times as each panelist offers their perspective on this year's conference theme, Building Sustainable Communities through Collaborative Approaches to Food Security and Nutrition. Now let's pause for just a moment to handle some housekeeping things. Please look around and locate our vendors positioned along the side walls. Restrooms are in the lobby up front if you look out there, and then also we have restrooms up here at our stage right. I have one more important introduction. It's my pleasure to introduce the chair of the Executive Committee, Dr. Deborah Craighead. Craighead is a long-term member of the ULM nursing faculty and has actively been involved with the Let Us Dream organization in various capacities. She recently attended the triannual Let Us Dream conference in Bangladesh, India in 2023, and she plans to participate again in the 2026 conference when it also returns to India. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Deborah Craighead. Dr. Craighead, would you please raise your hand so we can recognize you? Also, if there's any executive committee members in the audience, would you please stand so we can thank you for your hard work and dedication to this organization as well. Thank you, Dr. Craighead, and thank you to all executive committee members for your outstanding volunteer service to the Let Us Dream organization.
Now I have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker for today, Dr. Carrie L. Castile. She began her tenure on June 9, 2025 as the 10th president of the University of Louisiana at Monroe. With more than a decade of experience in higher education and nearly 30 years of distinguished public service, Dr. Castile is widely recognized for her leadership in science, education, and public policy. Her career has been defined by a steadfast commitment to the research, innovation, transformative learning, and community engagement that strengthens lives and advances opportunity. Dr. Castile has held numerous national and institutional leadership roles centered on agricultural education and scientific advancement. She was appointed director of the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, becoming the first woman to lead the federal science agency within the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Under her leadership, NEFA invested more than $2 billion annually in research, education, and extension programs nationwide, prioritizing sustainable agriculture, food, system innovation, conservation, and workforce development. Prior to her appointment to NEFA, Dr. Castile served as Senior Vice Chancellor and Senior Vice President at the University of Tennessee Institute of Agriculture, where she expanded research capacity, strengthened strategic partnerships, and advanced student success, furthering her lifelong dedication to land-grant institutions and their mission of service to communities. Between 2009 and 2025, Dr. Castile provided expert support to 4 U.S. presidents and received 3 presidential appointments, reflecting her trusted leadership across multiple administrations and her integral role in shaping national agricultural and rural policy. Her academic career began at Louisiana State University, where she served as a faculty member and cooperative extension leader. She later transitioned to the state government leadership, serving as an associate commissioner and science advisor at the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, and as a USDA Rural Development State Director for Louisiana, where she oversaw a historic increase in rural investments from $800 million to nearly $1.5 billion. A trailblazer throughout her career, Dr. Castile has been the first woman to hold several influential leadership roles. She was the first female director of NEFA, the first female inductee into the University of Louisiana at Lafayette College of Engineering Hall of Distinction in 2017, and now serves as the first female president of the University of Louisiana of Monroe. Dr. Castile is a 2-time recipient of the USDA Secretary's Award for Excellence, both in 2003 and 2018, honoring her enduring contributions to rural America and her visionary leadership in public service. She holds a PhD in renewable natural resources with an emphasis in environmental and public policy, and a Master of Science in Environmental Studies from Louisiana State University, as well as a Bachelor's of Science in Industrial Engineering from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Dr. Castile is married to Dr. Robert Robichaux, and together they have 2 children, Josh and Megan. The couple recently celebrated the arrival of their first grandchild, embracing the joy of family alongside a lifelong dedication to service and leadership. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Carrie Castile.
Good morning. Let's try that one more time. Good morning. It's fantastic. Let's see if I can figure that. I am not that tall. So thank you so much. It is a great pleasure and honor to be here as your 10th president of the University of Louisiana Monroe. Been on the job since June 9th, hit the ground running, and haven't looked back. I've realized that in a very, very short period of time that I have the best job in the world. No doubt in my mind, I have the absolute best job in the world. We transform lives here. We make a difference. Everything that we do is around student success, but it's also around communities. It's how we deliver our programs. It's how our students deliver service, and it's how this community is going to thrive. So when I look around this room, I see people who are not just dreamers, but doers. People who believe that progress begins with partnership, and we had that conversation last night. And I came up with the phrase, either you partner or you perish. Real change happens when we come together across professions, across communities, across generations to work for common purpose. And today that purpose is clear: to build stronger, more resilient communities where every person, I'm gonna say this again, every person has access to opportunity, to dignity, and to something as fundamental as food. By a show of hands, how many of you have worked on a food security project in the past year? Actually, all of you have. Believe it or not, you have. Look around. You are the hands of change makers. It's what collaboration looks like. So before we dive into today's theme, let me tell you a little bit about how I grew up. I grew up in a small rural community. We say I'm from Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. I'm actually from Ruth, Louisiana. Ruth is in between Breaux Bridge and Park. So I grew up oftentimes no shoes, running around, had the absolute best life, but didn't realize that we didn't have the resources that everybody else had. Both my parents lost their job in the oil and gas industry. When I was in 4th grade, they opened a donut shop. Who knows what time you make donuts in the morning? 2 a.m. You make donuts at 2 a.m. Ain't nobody wants to wake up and make donuts at 2 a.m. in the morning. So I used to wake up with my dad every morning. I'd go help him make the donuts from 2 a.m. to about 6:30 a.m., and then I'd sleep on the flour sacks. Then I'd walk to school. That donut shop became a place where we sold po' boys and lunches and everything else. And oftentimes during the summer, I'd walk in the back kitchen, and we had Mr. Paul, Mr. Terry, Mr. Ricky, Mr. Jerry Paul, all these guys and gals that were there to be able to make sure that my parents made it. So they were battering shrimp. They were cutting po' boy buns. They were putting mayo on bread. They were frying French fries. They were making hamburgers. The point of that is the community wanted my family to survive. And they did, because of the help and the partnership and the power of community. I also say that it takes grit, guts, and determination. And I learned at a young age that hard work isn't optional, it's essential. I learned that perseverance opens doors, even when resources are limited. Agriculture and food is central to who I am. I often say that I grew up with 4-H, family, and farms. Anybody 4-H member here? You remember? head, heart, hands, health. Grew up with that, and then you take that, what's the slogan? What's the motto? Make the best better. Thank you, Mr. ULM. Make the best better. So I grew up knowing where food was produced, how it was produced. I produced it myself. I knew the importance of providing to those who didn't have. I'll also say that higher education changed my life. It gave me opportunities I never imagined that as a little girl from Ruth, Louisiana, and today as president of ULM, I carry the lesson forward. Every student deserves the chance to dream big and achieve more. My journey from the flour sacks led to the role as the director of the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. I had a $2 billion budget to be able to invest in our communities, our rural communities, our educational institutions, but in programs like Farm to School and those types of opportunities that are going to, again, transform lives through service. I saw firsthand how research and education can transform those lives. One project that I'll never forget was being involved in a farm-to-table program in a rural community. These programs didn't just provide fresh produce. They improved attendance, boosted health outcomes, and supported our local farms. Those experiences taught me that food security is not just about food. It's about dignity, it's about opportunity, and it's about resilience. And they guide my work here today at ULM. So at ULM, we believe that universities have a responsibility that goes beyond education. We're not just an institution of higher learning. We are a partner in community well-being. Across our campus, you can see how our programs intersect with food security and nutrition. From our School of Education, reaching into rural communities, supporting early childhood development and lifelong wellness. Our College of Health Sciences, preparing nurses, dietitians, healthcare professionals who understand that good nutrition is foundational to good health. Partnerships with agriculture and food programs, connecting learning to local economies, supporting our farmers, food entrepreneurs, and the infrastructure that keeps our communities thriving. Even right here on our campus, we have initiatives that speak to the heart of this mission. We have a ULM food pantry. It's open to all students. We have Swipe Out Hunger, led by our SGA, our Student Government Association, that allows students to donate unused meal swipes to classmates in need. These efforts, large and small, reflect who we are as a Warhawk family, caring, compassionate, and committed to lifting one another up. We all know that no single organization can solve hunger or poverty alone. Collaboration is the foundation of any lasting solution. In Louisiana and across the nation, successful partnerships between universities, nonprofits, local farmers, schools, and healthcare providers demonstrate the power of working together. ULM is proud to be part of this system. So, I'm going to ask you to do something for about 30 seconds. I want you to turn to the person next to you and share one idea for a partnership that could strengthen food security in your community. You have 30 seconds. Go. All right, time's up. That was 30 seconds. That was a quick 30 seconds. I encourage you to continue to have these conversations throughout the day. This, what you just did, is how change begins, when conversations lead to action. Innovation starts with education and empowerment. When we invest in students, we invest in the future. We invest in problem solvers who will tackle challenges like food security, climate change, and sustainable agriculture. At ULM, our students don't just sit in classrooms, they go out into the communities. Like Elle, we were talking about that earlier. community service is a pillar of our student athletes. They learn by doing, working on real-world projects that strengthen local economies, improve health outcomes, and promote stewardship. They also learn how to lead. So I'm going to give you a short story, and I apologize if you've heard this story before, but it has impacted my life. Our head coach, Coach Bryant Vincent, asked me to go out and meet the football team, talk to his players, tell them who I am, introduce myself as president, where I came from, and where I want to go. So I talked to him, and I told him, I said, if you would look at how I was raised and the resources that we didn't have, no one would have ever thought that I'd be standing here as the 10th president of the University of Louisiana Monroe. And I told them, every single one of you matters, and you all belong at this university, just like I belong at this university. When they were finished, they all high-fived me. They all went one by one into the locker room. They said, congratulations. Look forward to having you as our president. But there was one student on the 30-yard line, on the far side, 30-yard line, that was doing bear crawls. Y'all know what bear crawls are, huh? So bear crawls, 30-yard line, far side, you know where he's got to go, right? All the way across to get to his locker room. So I said, hey, coach. I said, you mind if I go talk to the kid? He said, not at all. Big guy, right? So I went in. I got on all fours. And I'm bear crawling with him. Yep. So I'm crawling. And I said, why are you bear crawling? He said, I blew off a 5-point quiz and coach is making me crawl across the field. I said, all right. And I said, do you know who I am? He said, you're president. I said, do you know what my job is? And he said, no, ma'am. I said, my job is to make sure that you're successful on the field, in the classroom, and in our communities. So you blew off a 5-point quiz. Let me tell you the importance of the number 5. 5 points might be the difference between an F and a D and a C and a B, and a B and an A. $5 might be what you need to be able to feed your family. 5 might be 5 cents that you have left in your pocket. And 5 might be the 5 points that you need to be able to win this game. So I said, I'm going to give you 5 back. The importance of that is you lead where people are. I'm not going to deny that times are tough right now. People are scared. People are nervous. They are. There's a lot of conversations going on in the news, and people are. We meet people where they are. You lead where they are, even if they're on all fours, crawling from one side of the field to the next. So here's my call of action. Let us dream challenges each of us to go back and have these conversations and put them into action. Let us dream and act together. Let us dream of communities where no child goes to bed hungry and where every family has access to affordable, nutritious food. Let us dream of partnerships that bridge rural and urban divides, unite universities and local governments, and amplify the voices of those who are too often unheard. And let us remember that dreaming is not idle. It's intentional. It's the first step in creating change. So I challenge each of you to leave here with just one actionable step. Start a garden, volunteer at a food pantry, mentor a student, reach out to a local farmer. Every act, no matter how small, adds up to something greater. So thank you for being here. Thank you for dreaming with us. And thank you for helping make those dreams a reality right here at ULM. Let's go Warhawks. This way. Mr. ULM says I gotta go this way.
Thank you, Dr. Castile. Please join me once again in giving Dr. Castile another round of applause. Yes, so now we will go ahead and go into our break time. Please feel free once again to go talk to our vendors, communicate with our vendors. The restrooms, once again, are in the lobby, and then we also have restrooms to my stage right. So you are free. Thank you. We will be resuming the conference in about 2 minutes. If everyone can make their way back to their seats, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, we'll go ahead and resume the conference. Okay. Boom. Give him something like that. Give him something like that. I'm finna just start. Good morning. We'll be ready to introduce our next panel. If I could have everyone's attention, please. That's what I'm saying. Hello? Okay. Yeah, there we go. That's better. That's better. In my opening remarks, I mentioned the Let Us Dream organization focuses on 3 community service initiatives, areas where the communities often struggle to keep the pace with normative standards. Up first, we'll explore the collaborative approaches to food security from a social perspective. Led by our social panel, let's give our social panel a warm round of applause as they take the stage. At this time, I would like to turn the program over to the moderator of the social panel who will lead this session for the next 45 minutes. I'll return afterwards to introduce and orient you to our next session, the educational panel.
Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day on the bayou. My name is Genevieve Alexander. I am the current Miss Ouachita Parish. I am a psychology major here at ULM, and I am minoring in marketing. And I'm so blessed to be here today and learn about all of these educational resources and these beautiful people on this panel who are going to educate us today. Welcome to the Let Us Dream social panel, which focuses on community outreach, community projects, and social impact. Our panelists include members of the Northeast Louisiana Community Involvement in projects that align with this year's theme of building sustainable communities through collaborative approaches to food security and nutrition. Let's extend a warm welcome to our beautiful panelists. Miss Judy Babb is the creator and owner of Kelsey Clean LLC and co-owner of the Double BB Farms. Conrad Cable is the owner and operator of Current Farms and candidate for the LA04 Congressional District. Elizabeth Griffin is a high school educator at St. Frederick High School. And Jean Toth is the executive director at the Food Bank of Northeast Louisiana. So we're going to jump right into questions, and we're going to end with some time for a Q&A. So my first question for you guys is, could you describe the communities that you serve and the ways that you and your organization could contribute to those social services? And whoever would like to answer that, feel free.
Hello? Okay. Good morning. I'll start off. I'm with the Food Bank, and the Food Bank serves 12 parishes. So we serve up to Arkansas and over to the Mississippi. Unfortunately, we have some of the worst food insecurity statistics in the whole country. So about 20% of the parishes that we serve, folks are food insecure, and that equates to 1 in 5 people. And for children, it's 1 in 3. And so we have our work cut out for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hi. I'm Judy Babb, and we have Double BB Farms. And we're more ranchers, so as opposed to farmers. We tend to rent out a lot of our land to farmers, but what we do is we tend to donate a lot of excess food that we have to other organizations. As far as what we do with our farm is we try to teach younger generations where their food is coming from and encourage young children into 4-H and to become future farmers, because we think that the future is obviously with our children, and so we try to encourage them to become future farmers.
Hey y'all, my name is Conrad Cable, and I own and operate Current Farms, and that is a vegetable farm. And we were the first farm in North Louisiana to offer a subscription service called a CSA, which stands for Communities Supported Agriculture. We now have around a 200-member farm share program, and that provides fresh food directly to families all over North Louisiana. And it's really important to talk about this because only 4% of farms sell directly to the consumer, and that's a very small percentage of the total amount of family farms that we have here. And so it's a huge problem because there's not enough of us to feed ourselves, and we saw that directly play out during COVID whenever we had food supply shortages. I'm a graduate of ULM. I have an English degree, and I think that taught me the empathy and the history of agriculture, not just in Louisiana, but in the South, and it gave me the research skills that I needed to learn how to operate a small business. I was also an 8-year 4-H'er, so it was great to see the LSU Ag Center here. And I got interested in farming through service learning in 4-H. One year, whenever I was in 5th grade, we grew a huge summer garden, and I gave away all of the produce. And I saw firsthand how people in our rural communities struggle accessing fresh, healthy food. And I believe that fresh, healthy food is a human right, just like clean water. And I started farming because with my intellectual capacity, I thought it was what I could do to make my community a better place. And I believe that healthy communities start with healthy food and nutrition access, and it is the honor of my life to be able to serve my community, and I wish that we had an easier time connecting small, medium, and regional farms to supplemental nutrition program recipients, because that is essential to not just building equity, but to building healthy communities.
I would like to add something to what Conrad said, because he's being a little humble, because not only does he provide those CSAs to people that actually pay, he also donates to people. As many as he gets, he also donates. So I think Conrad deserves a hand of applause because he's very generous. So, and one of the things I'd also like to say, we grow a lot of our own food. The LSU Ag Center provides a lot of resources to anybody that is looking to homestead or grow your own food. My husband is a master gardener, master goat producer, master cattleman, and one of the things, someone's running for office here, one of the things that does need to be looked at is the legislation on how farms can produce and can sell. So Conrad's right, a lot of people don't have access to those things, but it's not because necessarily the farms don't want to sell. Some of the reason is because they can't. Okay, so that's why we tend to donate things as opposed to sell things. And I would, we tend to donate to where we see things, the need in our community. Sometimes you're afraid to donate to organizations for the threat of being sued or things of that nature. So keep that in mind when you're looking at people to vote for.
All right, so I'm Elizabeth Griffon. I teach at St. Frederick High School, and you might have noticed all the little high schoolers in the back. Those are my students. They're great. I love them.
They're warriors.
We're glad they're here. But I've taught at St. Fred's for a while, and I've been lucky enough to be the sponsor of the garden club at the school. So the garden club is pretty much run exclusively by the students. They pick what we plant, they figure out how to plant it, they go out there, they clean it out, they get it ready, and they put things in the ground and they harvest, whether cooperating or not. The produce that we've grown in the past has, it's always kind of been their mission to grow it and then donate it where it's needed in the community. So I know we've donated before to Grace Place, and we've donated to St. Vincent de Paul and helped, distribute things that way. We have a pretty active St. Vincent de Paul chapter on campus as well, so they're always around in the community. But one of the biggest things that I've learned as an educator at this school in particular is that once students are given an opportunity to provide a community service, once they're given an opportunity to see a need and then go meet it, they want to. They want to help. They want to provide. They want to reach out and be a part of our community and the places that kind of need the help in our community. And I don't know, that's, I guess, the one of the best things about working there, honestly, and being able to be a part of that program. But these students really, really care, and we're able to actually do something worthwhile in our area. And it's just, I think education is one of the first steps to solving a lot of these problems. And so getting them to learn where their food comes from and learn how to actually take care of it and learn, again, the percentage of people in our area who are struggling with food security. I think it's a big deal, and I think it's a big step for the future.
Absolutely, and I'm so blessed that Louisiana has such beautiful resources such as you guys, and focusing on the education, because I sure wish that when I was in high school that we had programs like this, so that's absolutely incredible. My next question for you guys are, what drew you to social service, and what have you learned from the communities that you're serving?
I'll start off again. I felt like I was very short-spoken. It kind of grew. I started as a volunteer. I volunteered at a food bank and just really chose the food bank to volunteer because I loved their mission and I loved how they accomplished that mission. Dr. Castile talked very eloquently about many tenets of food banking this morning when she was talking about food insecurity and collaboration and dignity. And I just really fell in love with food banking over 20 years ago. And so that is how I got connected to what I am still passionately doing today. I think one of the things that I have learned is there is no one face of hunger. It could be your next door neighbor, a child who sits next to your child at school, someone in church. I think, you know, we never know what's coming down the road. And we hear a lot of people say there, but for the grace of God go I. You know, layoff, sickness, life can deal you many unexpected blows. And I think that at the food bank we have learned that there is no easy explanation or easy way to describe someone who is hungry other than they're anxious, they're stressed, they're worried. They just want to do the best they can, and they just need a helping hand. We also, you know, have some golden rules at the food bank, and that is to treat people the way that you would want to be treated. But that also means just treating people normally, having a normal conversation. I can hear people come into our food bank, and I never know if it is a board member, a donor, one of our partners, or someone who needs food. And I really appreciate that, because sometimes you just want to have a normal conversation. You know, just because you need a little help doesn't, you know, change your relationships with folks. And so I think that has been a good lesson that we really try to keep ourselves focused on that at the food bank.
All right, so I guess we'll just go down the line on this one. Things I've learned. I've learned that in the years that I've been teaching, so this is, I think, my 12th year as a high school teacher, I've taught in private and public schools, and I have seen firsthand, especially teaching in a public school, how many people do struggle, how many students struggle. A lot of my students, when I was teaching in the public school system, their only meals they got were the ones that they got at school. And that's heartbreaking. And that's really, really hard to come to terms with, just both as a teacher and as a mother. So I've learned that, like she said, hunger has many different faces. You don't always know. And you should always be trying to help someone. You should always be trying to improve your community in some way, whether that's just, you know, a person on the street that you met, or through an organization, through the clubs that I'm lucky enough to be a part of. And I've learned that, like I said in my previous answer, that students really do want to help. If there is a way for someone to be educated and gain some insight about something that opens their eyes, opens their mind a little bit to give them an opportunity to serve, they really want to. Like, they really do. And it's providing those opportunities that, you know, makes the jobs worthwhile.
Okay, what I've learned. Well, I was one of those faces. I grew up with nothing. No Christmas, no food, lots of times no lights. And I grew up with the motto of the 2 Ps, perseverance and perspiration. And I have a very blessed life now. And I don't take it for granted. I wake up every day, and I thank the Lord for waking me up and for my life. And I will say this, build partnerships. That is really important. And give what you can. I try to give away 10% of everything I earn religiously. But I've been there, I know what it feels like, and I will always share my space. I will always give what I can, and I encourage you to do that. The saying that is better to give than to receive is true. And through Kelsey Clean, through the farm, through the Mardi Gras crew, through all the things, I have learned that the Twin Cities is a wonderful community. It is a giving community, it is a talented community, and people will say very many negative things about it, but there are some wonderful people here. And many of them are in this room. That's why you're in this room. So do what you can, because you might not can change the whole world, but you can change the world of one person. You can change the life of one person. And if you do that, then you've done a great thing. Okay?
Since we're talking about food insecurity, I'll tell you some of the things that I have learned about. And I'm going to tell the truth. I don't have anything to lose. But what I've learned is that our communities are surviving, not thriving. And we are going to have to find a way to navigate the historic cuts to SNAP that have been made. We're talking about folks who receive an average of $2.10 per meal have had that cut to $1.60 a meal by people who don't even buy their own groceries. We have a whole new slate of work requirements and so much bureaucracy that is going to have to go into people putting in 1 to 2 hours every month and having to fill out forms so that they can keep receiving essential SNAP benefits. And y'all, half of the SNAP recipients in this state are under 18. We're talking about kids. How can we expect kids to do well and graduate from high school or to perform well on the ACT whenever they don't have the nutrition to support proper brain development? Like, we have $1 billion cut by the billionaire Elon Musk and his cronies at Doge from farm to food bank and farm to school programs, not counting what the Louisiana legislature is shoving down the pipe. So our food security is under direct attack at this moment. And so it's going to take all of us standing up. 7% of SNAP recipients are unemployed. 93% of the people who receive those benefits are hardworking, hard-praying people. And it's folks who are on SNAP for just a little while to make it through the toughest times of their life, and we're taking that away from people. And instead of talking about ways that we can promote food access, we're talking about restrictions to food access. And so I think that it's something we have to be cognizant of and we have to be advocates for, because that's what we're called to do, is as educated people, is to advocate for people who can't advocate for themselves.
And it's influential people like you who are raising awareness to this issue who are absolutely pivotal for our state. So thank you for everything you do. My next question for you guys is, what should people in the Northeast Louisiana area know about the work that you're doing, and how can interest parties get involved?
Yeah, I'll kick this one off. So with my farm, I think that we have to be done with this competitive attitude. I have tried to be as cooperative as possible, and so through our farm, we have built a local food network that is made up of farms all across the region, and that is part of working together. The hardest thing that a small farmer can do is sell what they produce for a price that makes them a living. And that's why it's so important for us to be connected with these federal food programs, because small, medium, and regional farms don't receive the same types of subsidies as commodity farmers do. And so the Double Bucks program at the farmers market is an incredible way for us to receive a direct federal subsidy. Being able to process SNAP, EBT, and WIC online or in person is so incredibly important to building the equity and using our customer base to support other farms and help other people live their version of the American dream is what we should all be doing. So, yeah, I'll pass the baton now.
I couldn't agree more. So I will just basically say I agree. Shop local, shop small, and shop with your farmers. The farming community here is pretty tight, and we all do work together. Some of us sell food, some of us do other things, but we all do work together and we have a great community. And so, you know, it's all in y'all's hands. You can shop big stores or you can shop local. But when you shop local, your money stays here. And we can do good things with that money. So shop small, shop local. Everybody preaches it, but not everybody does it. So put your money where your mouth is.
All right, so not a farmer. But I do agree with, I try to help. But I do agree with everything that they're saying. Definitely shop local, definitely know what you're getting and where you're getting it from. Another big thing for us, like if you wanted to be involved in anything that we are doing, you know, our garden club is always looking for volunteers, looking for donations, looking for seeds, supplies, that kind of thing to help the students, because we really don't, like, we're a nonprofit. We don't charge an admission fee. We don't do really any fundraisers or anything like that. We just, the kids go out and we work in the garden and then we donate the produce somewhere. So if you want to be a part of that, if you want to help us help our local entities, yeah, send us some stuff. This year I think we're trying to team up with the food bank and donate everything that we grow there. You know, to help maybe get some volunteer hours out there. So that'd be another way to be a part of this community is donate your time, donate your attention, donate some food to the food bank. They're doing really important work.
Thank you. The question made me think about what people might not realize about the food bank. And I think one thing, especially from comments that we hear when people come and visit us, is the scale that the food bank works at. You know, we're a big warehouse. We have 10 vehicles. Last year we distributed over 8 million pounds of food. And so a lot of times people think that we're a meal program, that we're handing out hot meals to the community. And when they see us and see the forklifts and see us in action, they're surprised at the scale. But we couldn't do what we do without a lot of community support, so we're really grateful. We couldn't do what we do without volunteers. We have volunteers at every level of every intersection of everything that we do. We partner with 60 other nonprofits, so the food bank provides food to other programs, about 60 programs for their pantries into their communities. That's how the food bank has the reach that we have. We also operate some of our own programs, like the backpack program, where about 1,000 kids take home a bag of food every Friday for the school year. We do that in Ouachita, Jackson, Morehouse, and Lincoln parishes. We run 2 senior programs, so we're providing food for about 5,000 seniors through special programming. And we also hand out emergency boxes of food to people, and then we connect them with one of our partners for ongoing food support. And we also are always ready in a disaster. And so we stand ready to serve in any disasters, which we've had our share since I've moved here 10 years ago. And to get involved with the food bank, I would suggest going to our Facebook page, going to our website. We have, I think I started to talk about how many ways we collaborate. So we have our partners, we have volunteers, we have thousands of volunteers that help us every year. We have a small team for the heavy lift that we do, so we really rely on volunteers to help us pack the food and sort the food. People donate food. We have financial donors. We partner with schools and fire departments and mayors, and we're really a model of collaboration, which is one of the things that I love about our work. It's all about relationships, and I think that here, one of the things that I was really aware of when I moved here from a larger city is how personal relationships are here and how much it means to people to help somebody when they hear that somebody is having a hard time. And the food bank sees that in action every day, and it really encourages us and keeps our spirits up sometimes when we see volunteers coming in the summer sweating and they're smiling and they're telling us thank you, and we couldn't thank them more.
That's absolutely vital, and it's so amazing that you guys have so many opportunities to, whether it's shop local, get involved, and get your hands dirty. That makes everything, like you said, grow bigger and our purpose even stronger. My next question for you guys is, what are some challenges that you or your organization face in garnering community support, whether it's financial, volunteers, or other resources?
Mine is vet bills. No. I find that I love St. Frederick's. Go Warriors. We get a lot of great farm hands from St. Frederick's. Through the crew, through the Crew de Riviere, I get a lot of volunteers. I'm very blessed with that. Financially, I think we all struggle. The weather has not been kind to Louisiana over the last couple years. I know we all have struggled, droughts, storms. Freezing. How many unprecedented events have we had over the last few years? So it hasn't been kind to farmers, ranchers over the last couple years. So I think that's been our biggest struggle, really. But we're really blessed. I think that we're very blessed to live this life. We don't actually go for any grants as a farm per se. I know a lot of farmers do, but we don't. And we have been offered opportunities for some of our land, which we've declined for different reasons. But I would say challenges for us really have been weather, which we can't do much about. So we're just going to pray that improves. But I would say that we've gotten some really great volunteers, and promote yourself, promote what you're doing, and people will come if they believe in what you're doing. Our farm has a really good reputation, so does our crew and our businesses, and if they believe in what you're doing, they're going to come help you.
Well, and then, if they know about you, like that's a big thing that, obviously everybody struggles with money, like that's, where we are. But the garden club, a lot of the obstacles that we've kind of faced or hit have been the weather. The weather has been a really big part of why things don't work quite the way you think they will for the past few years with our school garden. But the other side of that is word of mouth, like getting our names out there, getting the ideas out there, and getting recognition or getting any kind of like knowledge about who we are, what we're doing, and how we're doing the things. Our school's lucky enough to be a part of a group of schools that are very like community service oriented. Like all of our students have to go out and like be a part of the community and get their service hours every 9 weeks and be visible and be helpful and be a constructive part of the world that we live in. But getting the opportunities out there, getting knowledge of the opportunities is another big one of, I guess we just need to market better. But fighting the weather and fighting the fact that not a lot of people know about us, because we're a little bitty school in Monroe.
I touched on it before. I think that this time of year, we have so many volunteers that are calling the food bank, and we don't have enough spots for them. But sometimes in July and August, we are looking for volunteers. So if you can just remember that when the heat of summer is upon us and you're looking for something to do, we really appreciate folks who come out in the summer to help us out. I would also say sometimes we feel like we can't do enough to try to educate the community about what the food bank does. A lot of people think we're a food bank for the Monroe area. They don't realize we travel to Lake Providence. We have a distribution in Waterproof in Winsboro. And so sometimes I think, again, the scale of what we do and the fact that we're in 12 parishes, we have a fleet of vehicles delivering food. I think that people aren't quite aware of that sometimes. And I always encourage folks to ask someone to call the food bank. Our doors open for visitors anytime. to walk around, to show people we love talking about what we do, and we love, sharing our mission with people to help us educate.
And I'd love to hear Mr. Cable's response, and then we're going to open up to a Q&A.
So some of the problems that I have run into have been, of course, weather is a huge one. And so my farm was practically destroyed by an EF2 tornado this January, so just less than a year ago. And we have to have resources through the LSU Ag Center and through the USDA that can help small regional farms become more climate resistant. And so we have to have training courses and resources and experts that we can have conversations with so that we can keep developing and growing our skill sets. If we are having a conversation about having more farmers and not fewer farmers every year, then we have to talk about having resources available, like through the Small Business Administration, so that new farmers can have access to capital. Access to land is the #1 barrier for new farmers. And we have to talk about ways to make that more equitable for people. And right now, I'm so fortunate that here at ULM, we have the Small Business Development Center, and places like that are losing funding. And so there is a whole system and support network that new and beginning farmers have to have if we are going to grow that industry. And I've seen firsthand, we can all take a trip down the highway to Bastrop, Louisiana, and we can see what happens whenever industry leaves a community. And we can't afford to let our communities lose agriculture the way that we have lost industry. It is such an important part of our community, and I say this as someone who grew up in a rural place, but to me, that is what America is. And so I think that we have to make it easier for people to start farms if we are going to be having a conversation about food security, because we can't feed people with a bunch of food that comes from California and expect our communities to develop economically in a sustainable way. So that's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. Keep it local. Keep it here. So now I would like to open up the floor for any questions that anyone in the audience may have.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I have a lot of questions, actually. So the first one is concerning food security. And I'm actually from Africa, and I've seen many of the fruits in America produced without seeds. And I wanted to know what's the reason behind that. And my second question, coming from Africa, we don't have, even though there is fish, there is meat, there's chicken, we are not really advanced when it comes to producing it at a larger rate. So it's quite expensive relatively. But coming to America and being in Grambling State University, I eat chicken almost every day. And sometimes I wonder, how is the chicken being produced? Because in Africa too, I've seen some of the chicken being produced in the lab, some eggs being produced in the lab. So sometimes I'm scared that what am I eating? Because Dr. Elizabeth was saying that you should know what you are eating and where it's coming from. So I'm just curious to know. And my last question, I realized that everyone on the panel was talking about giving, donations. And I've come to realize that whenever I identify a problem, I can turn it into a business so I can earn from it. So everyone talking about giving, donations, I believe that there's much blessing in giving than receiving. But I just wanted to know how what you are doing is still running, knowing that you are mainly giving? Do you have a side business that keeps it running, or do people keep on donating that keeps what you are doing running? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll start with the last one first and then work my way back. You know, here, part of our value in Louisiana culture is giving back. So you heard Judy talk about tithing. And so it's common for a lot of businesses in the South to give back charitably at least 10%. And so as a business owner, before you can be charitable and philanthropic, you have to make sure that your books are balanced. So it's just really important to be managing your day-to-day and keeping up with your financial expenditures so that you can raise your profits so that you can give back, because you can't give back if you're not paying yourself. So, and then I will speak on to what I think your question is the commodification of livestock, right? And we have to have a conversation about the ethics of treating every living thing on this planet with dignity and respect. And oftentimes, factory farming, it doesn't consider the animal welfare, or it doesn't consider the environmental impact. And so, and I say this as an English major, and we won't spend any time talking about the jungle, but we have a long history in the United States of not only labor issues concerning factory farming, but also animal welfare concerning factory farming. And then the last one is your question on GMOs. I am not one of the people who is anti-GMO. I disagree that patents can be held on life, and I disagree with a lot of the practices that go into big agriculture to a certain extent, but I believe that GMOs are saving tens of thousands of millions of people around the planet by being able to inject essential nutrients and vitamins into rice and solving scurvy in developing parts of the world through genetically modified foods. And so you can make a choice as to whether or not you would like to eat GMOs. Pretty much they're all labeled. Whenever fruit does not have seeds in it, it just means that it's a hybrid that has either been genetically modified, or oftentimes hybrid plants are bred for their specific genetics. So I don't disagree with that. I disagree with some of the bigger overarching issues, but yeah, I hope that answers your questions.
Okay. I'm just going to talk mainly on like the meat production, because that's mainly what we do. Okay, so I do not eat food from the store. I grow and produce and process only my own food. I would only eat a chicken from my farm, an egg from my farm. I don't even know what's in the store, but the eggs don't look like anything like the ones from my farm. My animals are all free-ranged, and they eat grass and bugs, and they live the way they were intended. And they're processed in a humane way. I give them the best life they can live before they're here to serve their purpose. And that's the way I believe. A lot of the foods, and this is my opinion, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but this is my opinion, a lot of the foods here are injected with antibiotics and things of that. They're mass produced. They live in cages all their lives, which is, I believe, inhumane. They're not the best quality. My birds actually taste like meat. I don't know what's in the store, but I wouldn't eat it. I don't know why there's no seeds and berries. I have berries in my fruit at my farm. You got berries? You got seeds in your berry? Yeah, yeah. If you go to Current Farms or get a CSA, I know Conrad has seeds in his berries. Anyway, so I've never seen a seedless berry, but I don't shop in a grocery store. I get milk from my cows and from my goats. So I think it's really all how you live and where you shop. There are a lot of really good natural grocery stores here, and if you want to see me after, I'm not here to plug anybody or anything, so I'm not going to do that. But there are a lot of natural whole food stores here that carry Conrad's products and other local farms here. Like I said, I don't sell to the public, so I'm not here to plug myself. I will say that you are what you eat. And I forgot what his last question was. What was your last question? I'm sorry. What was his last question?
About sharing partnerships and
You have to feed your animals first. So my animals, I love my animals, all 500 of them. They are, I love every single one of them. I know everybody's name. When people come out to the farm, they're like, how do you know all their names? And I was like, because I raised every single one of them, and I love them. I have llamas. I shear my llamas. I spin my own yarn. I am totally self-sufficient out there. The zombie apocalypse can happen tomorrow. I promise you, everybody will be at my house. So animals have a great purpose, and they are also my therapy, or I would be crazy. If you can have animals and do your own thing, then I would encourage that. And if you can't, then, support, like I said, another local farmer. But you do have to make a profit. For us, it's a lifestyle. But I do have several businesses. I have my hands in lots of pies. I don't do just one thing. I do a lot of things, which allows me to donate and to do things. And we donate excess. So anything excess we have, that's what we give away. And it doesn't always have to be on a grand scale. Yesterday I saw a girl was struggling, so I, Venmo'd her $20 because she was living in her car. It doesn't always have to be on a grand scale. You can do little things to help people that are, food insecure. Do what you can. I guess I'll just stop there because I tend to sit.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope that answers your questions, and thank you so much for such in-depth questions, and we're going to move on to the next panel, so thank you guys so much for all of your insight and resources and educational resources that you extended to us today.
Thank you so much to our moderator and our panelists. If I could get you all to exit the stage on the left side for a quick picture. And we have just a few short minutes before our education panel is going to go ahead and start. So if you need to use the restroom or grab a drink, I would do so now. Our next session is going to start at 10 a.m. Another key community service initiative supported by the Let Us Dream organization is access to education. As you can see from the As you can see from the panelists located on the stage to my left, the areas of expertise many of today's speakers will highlight innovative approaches and programs that educate communities on achieving food security. Please take a moment and let us welcome our panelists and moderators. This session will run for the next 45 minutes, and then we'll return and go into our next session. So without further ado, here's our education panel.
Good morning. Okay, now listen. My father is a Baptist preacher, or was a Baptist preacher. Therefore, I'm going to try that one more time, and y'all got to participate. Do you understand what I'm saying? Everybody understand the words coming out of my mouth? Good morning. Now you're working with me. My name is Dr. George Knopfler, and I am honored to be here at the Let Us Dream Conference. It is a pleasure. It's an honor and a pleasure. Okay, we got talking on the left-hand side. I ain't used to that in the church. So it's an honor and a pleasure for me to serve as the director of the Call Me Mr. program at the Grambling State University. And I'm going to take the next couple of minutes and see if I can properly introduce the wonderful ladies that we have on our panel today. Now listen, when I introduce one, then I want you to clap really hard for that one. And then I'm going to introduce the next one, and I want the same type of enthusiastic participation from the audience that we can get. Can I get an amen? Okay. I'm going to start off with introducing Miss Jamie Mays. Y'all doing really well. Y'all really doing well, I'm going to tell you. Ms. Mays is a native of DeRidder, Louisiana. She has lived in Monroe for over 15 years and spent 13 of those years teaching high school English, speech, and creative writing. Her dedication to improvement literacy and student success earned her recognition from the educators and community leaders. In 2018, she founded Jamie Mays Educational Consultant and Literary Services, LLC. Later became a full-time entrepreneur advocating for innovation learning, educational wellness, and diversity in education. She's also the founder of the Healing Project, a nonprofit supporting women, youth, and understanding communities. She's the author, listen at this, she is the author of 14 books. Did y'all hear me? That come right after 13. Including poetry, fiction, and journals. She promotes healing and self-expression through writing. Her work has appeared in publications such as the News Star, the Los Angeles Parent Magazine, where she received an award for the best writing in 2023. A lifelong learner, Jamie holds multiple degrees and certifications and continues her studies toward the doctorate degree while serving on several community boards and mentoring youth. Give it up for Miss Jamie Mays. Next we have Dr. Julie Capo. Dr. Capo is an assistant professor at Louisiana Tech University in the curriculum and in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction and Leadership. She has over 25 years experience in education. Her work focuses on behavior management, teacher content knowledge, professional development, curriculum design, and brain-based learning. She's a veteran educator who has taught K-12. Dr. Capo is a certified trust-based relative intervention, relational interventionist. Thank you. She's had to help me with that. She earned a doctorate in curriculum and instruction from the University of Louisiana here in Monroe. Y'all supposed to clap right there. That's where we are. Her research focus is building teachers' content knowledge and the subsequent impacts on instruction. She's a former District Teacher of the Year. She has presented in numerous literacy as well as research-based conferences. Give it up for Dr. Campo. We have Kathy Agan. She is a nutrition and community health agent as well as the parish chair for the LSU Ag Center Extension Office in Ouachita Parish. She holds a master's degree of science in family and consumer sciences and had dedicated over 30 years at the LSU Ag Center. Her expertise includes a specialization in nutrition and health and has completed the LSU Ag Center internal leadership program. She holds a nutrition education and health communities effort in her parish, and she actively participates in various local and state communities and committees, including work group with the Louisiana Department of Health for the State Health Improvement Plan. Give it up for Miss Kathy Agan. Finally, we have Dr. Cheryl Mansfield Inslee. Now, y'all got to clap real hard because this is my boss. You understand what I'm saying? There you go. There you go. All right. Dr. Inslee is currently serving as the Associate Professor and Interim Head, Department Head for the Department of Curriculum Instruction and Development and Higher Education Studies at her alma mater, which is the Grambling State University. She did receive her master's degree from Louisiana Tech and earned a doctorate from Texas A&M Commerce. She is an advocate for providing access and opportunity for students with over 30 years of experience in education. She is an experienced educator dedicated to leveling the playing field for all children. Prior to joining Graham Fam in August of 2018, she had previous experience in teaching at the college level and serves in the K-12 setting as a teacher, an assistant principal, a director, an executive director, and an assistant superintendent. She is outcome-based educator and a laser focus on obtaining results based on data. Give it up, Dr. Cheryl Inslee. Okay, so we're here to discuss and talk about our main theme is building sustainable communities through collaborative approaches to food service and security and nutrition. And our focus will be how food insecurity affects healthcare outcomes. Now, first question. The first question is, given in today's early learners and children's K-12 schools across Louisiana have a higher level of diabetes and cardiovascular disease. What are recommendations and strategies to combat this particular problem?
I would like to start by talking about a common conversation I've been sharing recently regarding the level of poverty that we deal with in our region, and in particular across the South. I think that we really underestimate just how much poverty impacts every aspect of the quality of life for communities. In particular, two things: education and health. And when we start talking about education, of course, that leads us directly to literacy. Many times when we talk about literacy, we have a one-dimensional approach and believe that literacy is just about reading, but it's also about comprehension as well as how we apply the knowledge that we gain. And because we struggle with poverty so much in our region, it is impacting both health and education, two essential things that we need to change the dynamics of health in our region. Whether it's teaching people how to grow their own food so that we become an active food to table community, or it's helping our community understand what things you can do actively to take your medicine consistently or change what you're ordering at restaurants to improve wellness going forward. So I believe the beginning of changing it is really understanding how poverty manifests itself in both education as well as the health community, and changing the way that we communicate with the people that we serve so that they can create long-term changes that improve overall health.
Thank you.
Good morning. I think when we are thinking about our pre-K through 12 schools, two words come to my mind to answer this question. Our response needs to be both visible and viable. And I think both of those words are very important, and they carry with them the heart of why we are here today. Things that we implement need to be very visible. As the panel previous to ours mentioned, so many people struggle with just not knowing what resources are available to them. So adding that visibility piece, being very, very cognizant of making all of the things that are available, making those known to people can be such a hurdle. So I think some thought around that would be very productive. For in our schools specifically, providing healthy school meals for children. Again, as was mentioned earlier, so many children in our schools are reliant upon the food that they get in school every day, because for many of them, that is the only food that they get every day. And so those meals during the school year, as well as the meals during the summer vacation times, are critically important to students. So making those meals as nutritious as possible, I think, would go a very long way in addressing this question. Also, the snacks that we provide for children in schools, I think that we need to be very aware of the type of snacks that we provide and how can we make healthier choices for children and get them excited about those healthy choices. It is absolutely possible to do. We just need to make it happen for our children. Also, to educate them, and that is a critical part of this, is to educate them as to the value of good nutrition, to be very transparent with our students and let them know why we are making the changes in our meal plans in schools and our snack plans, why we're making those changes, and the benefits that they will see and the benefits that they will feel from eating healthier. Also, I think physical education is a non-negotiable for our pre-K through 12 schools. All children need to be active every day, and for our physical education teachers to put thought into, as they do every day when they go into their classrooms, to put thought into making that a priority for all of our students, and that as we are seeing that there are some programs in schools that are being cut, PE is one that we need to fight for. Our children need to have that physical education incorporated into every day. And then lastly, I would say something that may sound like, oh goodness, I've never thought of that as being a non-negotiable, but water at schools, water for our children at schools. Again, this may be a place where our children have access to clean water and to unlimited water, which may not be the situation for them when they leave school every day. We know from a trust-based relational standpoint that water has a very calming effect on anyone that drinks it. And if we go 2 hours without drinking water, we've lost some of our brain capacity. And so we know that our children will benefit from drinking water on so many levels. So I think for schools to have a push to incorporate those drinking fountains, those fountains that we are beginning to see now in so many pre-K through 12 schools. But again, to be transparent with our students as to the importance of drinking water.
I think I need some water. After that. Okay.
Yes, and those are all great things, and I'm so excited to hear what you've said because those are very important. And I would advocate that we need early education for our children about what healthy foods are, exposing them to those foods, so that becomes their lifetime habits of enjoying those foods that are healthy for them and understanding where real food comes from and how it's grown, and so that they are exposed to that and those foods become the norm for them. But we also need to go beyond that and educate parents, because while we can teach children what healthy foods are and expose them to them, they're not the ones driving to the store and purchasing the foods. So parents need to know as well what types of things are healthy foods and how they can purchase those healthy foods, but within a budget. We also need to make sure that our parents know then how to prepare those foods in a healthy way. People of my generation and older than me, most of us, we participated in a home economics class, that it was called at that time, where we learned some basic cooking skills, but those classes have been cut in a lot of areas. And so our generation of parents today probably didn't get that same access to learn those skills at school as we did. And so it's important that we make sure that they know how to prepare things, because so many parents are relying on frozen things that they can pop in the microwave, or packaged things that you just follow the directions on the box to prepare. And it's important for them to know how to prepare fruits and vegetables and lean proteins and healthy foods. So education in those areas are important. And of course, back to the physical education, a lot of times those go hand in hand with our healthy eating. But most of our schools have a wellness policy, because several years ago that was a mandate that they have a wellness policy, but it was an unfunded mandate. So they had no funds to actually put those things into place. So we need to be able to support our schools so that they can actually implement those wellness policies and allow those things to take place during the school day that support children's health.
Okay, thank you. First, I want to say welcome to everyone, and thank you all for coming out. This is the first step, I think, into addressing many of these issues that we have. I would like to say that knowing what's happening. So by a show of hands, how many of you already knew that we were one of the leaders for our pre-K through 12 students in diabetes and cardiovascular disease? Did any of you already know that? Just a few. So, okay, so you've already learned something today. So I want you all to pledge that what's learned here today leaves here. We don't want to keep it in these four walls. We want it to leave here. What's learned here leaves here, so that we have a reach outside of this room. Thank you. What's learned here leaves here. So that's, first of all, I think that knowledge is key. We have to know. And once we know, we can have a focus on these things. We can have even a laser focus on these and come up with strategies that are in our realm of control. And so that knowledge, and then we have to have a comprehensive approach. It has to start at home, school, communities, churches. Everywhere, the approach needs to be comprehensive. A lot of the things that we can do have already been mentioned, but one thing is snacks. In the K through 12 system, when I worked there, we actually took all unhealthy snacks out of the school, out of the vending machines, so that when a student they wanted to buy something out of the vending machine, it was a healthy snack. Sometimes they realized that they actually enjoyed eating the healthy snack, that coughing from the hot Cheetos wasn't good, that a healthy snack did taste better. But it also influenced other things. We found that we had some entrepreneurship at the schools. Students were actually selling unhealthy snacks on the hallway, which was against the rules. But eventually, we got them to channel that in different ways, and students were able to buy those healthy snacks. And so help in any way that you can. And then to just piggyback a little bit on the physical education, and it's very important that those remain in our schools. But I want to take it a little further. As a principal, one of the main ways that teachers thought they could get a student to participate is by taking away recess. I hear it up here, recess. That is what they need. They need to be physically active. So the very ones that needed to be up there to get the energy out and to help prevent some of these diseases needed to be out there. They were sitting on the wall watching others until I became principal, and that was not acceptable. We can find other ways for students to be held accountable for their actions, because I definitely agree they should be held accountable, but recess is so important in the development of a student, and this, we talked about data, this data substantiates that because of inactivity, that diabetes, cardiovascular disease, they are increasing and one of the highest in Louisiana. We want to lead in some things, but not in that. So the activity is very important, the physical activity. So we want to look at ways to increase that. Talk with parents, talk with whoever you're, in my case, my grandchildren. When I'm buying them things, they like the iPads, but I buy bicycles, scooters, things we can go outside and do together. When I'm with them, that's the first thing they do. Mama C, can we take a walk? Yes, because that's what we do together. We take walks. So do things that you can do to increase their activity. And then the last thing is screening. Often those things are not visible. We don't know that. So it's important. We think of people my age, we want to do our annual screenings and things like that, but for young students as well, because as I started, knowledge is the key. And so until they know those things and know these things are happening, sometimes they're not addressing it. So we want to make sure that we have that comprehensive approach. And those are just 3 areas or activities that we can look at: the snacks, the activities, and the screening, and do things that we can do to make an impact.
Okay, thank you so much for question number 1. Now, let me tell you this. They're talking about activity and walking. Okay, that's not limited to students. I need to walk. You need to walk. All God's children need to walk. Let's go to the next question. How can parents join in this escalating crisis of food security and nutrition efforts that our children in schools today and families in our communities? How can the parents help? I think we talked a little bit about that, so if you would just emphasize that just a little bit.
I sure will.
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hey, I'm started where I ending. Knowledge. Knowledge. We have to be aware, and we have to know that these things. And when I say knowledge, that parents, community members, everyone, we have to know that nutrition impacts learning. A hungry student, a student who has eaten Oreos for breakfast, or whatever they could find for breakfast, they're not going to be able to perform at the same level as a student who has eaten a healthy breakfast. So originally on test days, things like that, we make sure we bring breakfast in. They're going to have a healthy breakfast, make sure. But it's important, and I think a lot of schools have gone to that, where they have a universal breakfast. And if not, we want to advocate for that. We want to be advocates for our students. Make sure that even if we think they may have access to healthy foods and healthy breakfasts at home, we still want to be able to give them that choice or provide that at school, because what we consider healthy, they may not consider healthy. So we want to base that on the data and base that on what is healthy and make sure that we are providing that for our students. But again, the first thing is that we have to realize, acknowledge, and share that what you eat does make a difference. If you come to school hungry or malnourished, if you get to that point, then you will not be able to perform at the same level. So I think that that is very important, and that we are advocates. And I want to make one other point, because we talked about the school year, but summers are sometimes the hardest times for our students. I want to be sure that in your community, they have access to those summer programs, and that you are doing what you can to make sure that that's available. So briefly, those are some ways that we can address that issue, first by knowing that it is important and finding ways to address it. Thank you.
Well, with my classes at the LSU Ag Center, I work with adults and teach basic cooking skills, family nutrition programs, and giving them those skills so that they can be a role model, because we can only expect our schools to do so much. As parents, we have to be that role model as well. And we can do that by being an active family, you know, having ways that we're moving together as a family to get physical activity, and making sure that as adults, we're willing to try new foods too. And not just, you know, encouraging the kids, but we're not willing to try either. We need to be willing to try those things. We need to work as parents on increasing our skills. If we don't have the skill to do something, we need to seek out the education so that we can do that. So if we don't know how to prepare a healthy meal at home, you know, there are places that have free classes that can help us learn how to do that. And then as parents, we need to be involved in our children's activities, involved in their school, and helping those teachers and doing our part as parents as well, so that we can help provide that foundation for our kids. And, you know, we can all be supportive. Even if we don't have a big budget, we can support our kids in other ways, and we can be that role model for them.
This is a very powerful and important question. And I would take us back again to what I said earlier about our programs for parents, our outreach, our connections with them need to be very visible, and they also need to be viable. They need to be an easy in for parents so that we don't make a difficult situation more difficult for them. So some ways that could happen, we need to continue to push for the inclusion of fresh fruit and fresh foods in our school lunches, in our school breakfast, and in those snacks that we mentioned. Community gardens are a very important part of this, and school gardens, as we heard from the contingency from St. Frederick's. I've seen their garden, and it is fabulous. So kudos to you guys for what you are doing. That is absolutely fabulous. Good job. We need more of that. We need more schools that are jumping on board. So you guys get out there and don't hide your light under a bushel, right? Share it with the world. They need to know what you're doing so that they can replicate your wonderful exemplar. I had a student that told me recently, this is the first quarter that I've had her in class, but she said that about a year ago, her home burned, and she lives with her mother. Her mother is on disability, and this student is a full-time student, but also a full-time worker. And so she said when her home burned, that the first thing that her community did was come to her and say, "Here is food." And that made such a difference. And she just teared up telling me about how her community had resources in place to jump in and support her and her mom for their food needs at that very, very tragic time for them. So don't ever underestimate what you're doing and the capacity that you're building students to reach out and to help others. And then another meaningful way to support parents in all of this, partner with people like Conrad Cable. And in fact, Conrad, I think I'm on your delivery route for today, actually. Yeah, yes. Partner with people that are local and that are promoting these wonderfully nutritious programs. Find ways that we can bring them into our K-12 schools so that we have them providing education for our children as to what they're doing and why they're doing it, but also pulling parents into those programs as well. And then lastly, encourage parents to join school organizations to continue to be a voice for their children, to be a voice in their school, but then use those school organizations to reach out beyond the walls of their schools and take their voices out into the community.
When I saw this question, the first thing I thought about was that about 7 years ago, my son and I co-authored a book called the Mommy and Me Cookbook. Inside this book was a collection of recipes that we use at home with the mission of promoting a couple of things: families spending time together, finding alternatives for unhealthy food practices that would promote nutrition for our children. And in addition to that, the idea of gardening. We had a small garden at home, and we would share across our social media platforms the things that we were growing as a family and things of that nature. The reason that this project really came about is because within our circle, there were always people asking how I was able to convince my son to eat all these fruits and vegetables all of the time without a real big issue. And I shared with them that it was just a part of home culture. That was our natural practice. It was a natural habit for my son to have fruits with every meal we ate, to also have vegetables with every meal that we ate. So he really didn't know anything outside of that. And so the goal of this book was not only to provide the recipes, but actually to write little blocks that helped families understand how you can implement this into your home, how your children can be involved in the kitchen, how it promotes spending time together, so that it's not just about the food aspect, but also about building a stronger family unit. And I think that we have to return to understanding that the element of food is not just about eating, but it's also about the health and wellness of the family. And when we understand that part, we will start to slow down. And I tell people all the time, I'm not advising that anybody become a short order cook. You don't have to be a master in the kitchen. Anybody with a little knife can make a good green salad. Anybody with the ability to pull a couple of things out of the garden or go visit Conrad can find fresh fruits and vegetables that you can bring home. But really working to change that dialogue within the family is very important. And changing the culture of how we move now as it relates to food. We become a society that really looks at food as if it is really a clutch, right? We want to stop and pick up McDonald's because we're so exhausted and we could really use that cheeseburger and those good fries and that really strong Sprite. And so a lot of times we use food as a clutch and we pass that same practice on to our children. But food is about nutrition, it's about energy, it's about wellness. And when we reshape the dynamics in our home about how we use food, then we're able to change the culture in our families, which then takes us back to question number one, which is driving down those numbers of diagnosis in diabetes and cardiovascular issues as well. And I even found that something as simple as creating that small garden encouraged us to spend time outside together, so we became more active physically. And so together, by just really changing the dynamics of how we have shifted food culture in the family, getting back to the kitchen, integrating food as a part of sustaining our health is a way that we as parents can really impact our families long term.
This is personal for me because yesterday my sister was released from the hospital. Last Wednesday night, she had a heart attack. One of her arteries clogged up 100%. They had to do a stent in that artery. All right, and they let her rest on Thursday, and then Friday they did another stent because another one was blocked 80%. And then on the next day, which is Saturday, they did another stent because another artery was blocked 70%. I'm thankful that she's still with me. But I'm telling you, healthy eating and taking care of yourself is real. I know young people, y'all think you're going to live 100 years old, you can do anything and everything. I know that's what you think. I used to think the same thing, but that ain't the right thing to think. If you take care of yourself and you eat properly and you exercise and you don't smoke and all the other things that you're not supposed to do, then you won't have the type of testimony that I have for you today. Let's go to the next question. Social determinants of education and food nutrition. Starting right here, can you discuss how educators at the K-12 level and in higher education here in Louisiana address the intersection of education, insecurity and nutrition?
So I got very excited when I saw this question because I work a lot with schools right now, especially in Northeast Louisiana in K through 12, and there has really been a budding culture around gardening in this region. We have several people in this area who help schools and organizations actually start gardens that are actually used to feed and support families. So we have several school gardens across all school districts, and some of those schools actually sell the things that they grow in those gardens to the community at reasonable prices. We have the 4-H Club. I was really excited earlier when the chancellor spoke about the 4-H Club. I was an avid 4-H'er from third grade all the way up through high school, became a junior leader, went to every camp 4-H had to offer. And not only did that teach about food wellness and health and resources, it also gave leadership development. And so because we live in rural Northeast Louisiana where there are so many farms around us and things like that, it is really important to our students because it's the reality that's very closely connected to their everyday lives. We have FFA clubs that are a part of our schools. We also have summer feeding programs that our schools offer to help feed our families during the summer. So I think that our school districts have done a great job at working to reduce issues with access to food, but they're also working to build a culture where kids are familiar with growing their own food. Some of the science classes also help the kids learn about experimenting with seeds and testing plant growth. From my son to other children in the neighborhood who know that because we have a garden, they can bring that little cup that they started planting at school over to us and ask if I can help them sustain their plant. I think that all of those practices in our schools, from what we're seeing in science classes to those community gardens that are being built, to providing kids with healthy feeding options for the summer, are ways that our schools are trying to step up and ensure that our kids know that they have a support system that ensures not only that they are fed, but that the food that is being provided to them is nutritious.
At the university level, at Louisiana Tech, we have a food pantry that is open for students 24/7. And you would be surprised at the number of students that come through that food pantry that are dealing with food insecurities at the college level. So we are always encouraging our faculty and staff to donate to the food pantry. In fact, multiple times throughout the year, we have recognized opportunities for faculty, and those are celebrated across the campus because as a university, we recognize the importance of keeping that food pantry stocked and open for all of our students. And then for our pre-service teachers and education classes at Louisiana Tech, we are very focused on educating them about the research that is brain-based so that our students go into classrooms being very aware of what food insecurities can look like and what they can sound like, and as was mentioned earlier, the many different faces that food insecurities can take in our school children. One of the things that we are sure to incorporate into our education program is Maslow's hierarchy, where we are very focused on that bottom level, which is the foundation for all other things to happen in a classroom. So we know that if children come into our classrooms hungry, that learning all of the great and wonderful things we have for them to learn each day is going to be incredibly challenging. And so one of the things that we've seen teachers do is to incorporate what they call a yes basket in their classroom. A yes basket is just what it sounds like. There are healthy snack opportunities for students that are always available. Students just need to ask for them, and the answer from the teacher will always be yes. You may have whatever's in this basket. And we know that from that trust-based relational intervention piece of it, that sharing food with another person builds a connection. And so for teachers to be able to share food with their students builds a trust-based relational intervention program and those connections with our students, which is exactly what we want to see in our pre-K through 12th grade classrooms.
Well, as someone who has worked for the LSU Ag Center for 31 years, all the shout outs for LSU Ag Center and 4-H have really warmed my heart today, and y'all filled my bucket with hearing all those great things. So I'll share a little bit of the things that we're doing through the LSU Ag Center with our schools as collaborative partners. And these are opportunities. If you're not aware, the LSU Ag Center has an extension office in every parish throughout the state. Now, our programs throughout the state are a little different depending on the needs of each parish and the staffing that we have and the resources for those parishes. So what I'm going to talk about today is what we're doing in Ouachita Parish, but chances are there are similar or the same things going on in whichever parish you are from. But one of the things that we have is our 4-H Youth Development Program, where we are doing great things. And Louisiana is very blessed to still be one of the states that 4-H is allowed as co-curricular during the school day. A lot of states, 4-H is not allowed in during the school time. So that's a great opportunity for our students to get some extra education throughout the school day. And one of the things that we're doing is helping schools get grant funding for different projects. So one of the projects we have going on right now in Ouachita is called Ouachita Grows. And that is a program to help schools that want to have a school garden, but don't necessarily have the space or the resources to have, raised beds or an in-ground garden. And we're doing that through garden towers that can be placed in a small space. They can even be put in a classroom if they can put it near a sunny window. And so we're working with them to do that as an educational program where kids can learn how to grow the food. But then through our 4-H programs at those schools, it can also be a service learning project because they can donate the food that they grow. And like I said, that can be done in a very small space. We also are working with nutrition education in some of our schools, and then we have partnered with the Children's Coalition, Ouachita Parish 4-H, and the LSU Ag Center Healthy Communities Coalition to do a community wellness pantry. And while that's not housed at a school, it's housed at the Children's Coalition right outside their family garden. It's affecting the schools because our schools with our 4-H clubs, they are doing drives to support that pantry. So we just packaged 353 snack bags full of 3 to 4 snack foods that were donated a lot by our 4-H kids at their school. And 4-H youth package those things and have those available now to be put in that pantry that's open 24/7. So a lot of collaborative things can happen. So I'd encourage, if you work with a school, to contact your LSU Ag Center office and see what kind of things you might be able to partner on to bring some resources and educational opportunities to your school.
So I want to thank you for the opportunity to come and to hopefully answer some of the questions that you were thinking about. And if you would, now listen, y'all did a halfway hand, just a minute ago. I want you to give a big round of applause to the Education Panel Committee. Give it up. That's all you got? Come on, give it up, come on! Thank you so much. I think we're supposed to go this way and take some pictures and things.
Thank you so much, and a sincere thank you goes to all the panelists for such an informative and inspiring presentation. At this time, we would like our moderator and panelists to join us at the posing area for some photos. You will receive a small plaque as a small token of our appreciation for your incredible work you do. At this time, we will be having a break, but if you turn your attention to the screens, we're going to talk about the summer camp, the Dreams Intervention Camp. Yeah. Hello? We had the opportunity over the summer. We had the opportunity for us both to serve as mentors for our summer intervention camp, and I feel like it was a pretty good experience for myself. I learned a lot. I was able to share a lot of knowledge, help out a lot of people that are younger than me, kind of guide them the way. It's a little different dealing with middle school children than I thought it would be. I love them to death, but they definitely can be a lot. But I was able to kind of just display my leadership skills and kind of talk to them on personal levels and be able to break things down to them that I've never been able to have a conversation about.
Okay, guys, we're coming back. These young people are here trying to talk to us, so let's come back, everybody. He's talking and nobody's listening, and I don't like that. Let's listen. So we're back to our moderators. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yes, once again, like we said, we're talking about our Dreams Intervention program that we had over the summer. Being able to just be an influence to middle school children was just, I definitely think, phenomenal. I had the opportunity to display so many different things to them. And even like seeing the generational gap between us and some of the stuff that they were saying, I was like, now what exactly does that mean? Like, can you kind of break that down for me? But just being able to actually display how I feel about it and show them light, and it was pretty cool.
And I will. Wait a minute, no. Hold on. What's that? I myself had the opportunity to go through the Dreams program as a fifth grader in my hometown in Bastrop, Louisiana, and I was just really honored to come back and serve as a mentor for the program here. As you can see on the screen, we started. If we could go back one. Okay. So we started out our week. Each day there's a different theme, and so we started our week with our very own Dr. Valerie Fields. She came and spoke to the students about self-concept and self-esteem, and how when you enter the room, how you enter the room speaks before you open your mouth, and how important it is that when you show up, you not only show up with a good attitude, but you show up dressed, and you show up ready to face whatever the day may bring. You good? Okay.
That definitely was something that I needed to hear myself, because I think sometimes we get caught up in the whole, I'm in this phase of life, I'm in this stage of life, but we forget the basics. So sometimes going back to the basics is the most important thing that we can do. And having Dr. Fields come up and display leadership in that way, in that capacity, really was inspiring for me as well.
And moving on into day 2, where we talked about our attitudes and emotions. This was one speaker that really spoke out to me during this week. He introduced something to the students when it came to talking. It just kind of built on what Dr. Fields started the day before, talking about how when you enter a room, you be the light. if you walk into a room and everyone's down, you should be the reason that the mood changes and they start to lift their spirits. And he introduced something to us that was really cool that we want to share with you guys. It was called Turn the Ball. So he talked about how a basketball has many different sides and how no matter how, when you look at the ball, you see it from one way. But if you turn the ball, if you just adjust your attitude and you meet people where they are, you can really get a lot further than just looking at it from your one perspective. So that's something that just really stood out for me on this day too. And a lot of the students we found throughout the week, we got to Thursday and we were still saying, turn the ball, change your perspective, and just change your attitude to meet people where they are.
Definitely. I still use turn the ball in my everyday life, whether it relates to a school assignment that I may have or just life in general, because life is sometimes tough. But it's all about how you see the ball, how you see the perspective. But we also had the opportunity the next day to have our own personal Miss ULM come and speak to us about dreams and purpose in life. Sometimes I feel like we just go through the motions and we just kind of let things happen. But it's very important to have your goals, to have your dreams written down. She was able to pinpoint different goals and purposes for herself and just show people that they can use those same goals to display to others. Every talent that she was able to display to us was leadership. I like how she was able to not only convey the audience, but just to make us think. She had times in the actual meetings where she was able to just say, hey, y'all, just close your eyes and think about where you see yourself in 5 years. And I think sometimes outside of a job interview, we really don't think like that. In 5 years, I don't know where I see myself because I haven't even sat down and think about it that far. But just sitting down and having the reflection of that lets you know what you need to do to achieve those goals. And that was something very, very important that I feel like everybody needed to hear.
And I also like to note, well, I know a lot of the students, they were able to pinpoint one thing she said, and it was you can't always take, it's not always good to take the elevator. Sometimes you have to take the stairs. So in order to get to where you need to be and really appreciate where you are, it's best that you have to work for it and not just take the easy route, because at the end of the day, you won't have enjoyed the journey taking the elevator. Here on the screen, we have Mr. Chris Lewis. He's the owner of Coney Island Connections, and he came and he talked to us about values and reaching your goals. And it's each day just kind of built on the previous, where you saw how when you first entered the room, your self-concept and your self-esteem spoke, and then your attitude and how you approached the room changed, and then your dreams and your goals, they all aligned. And we finally got to where we talked about our values and how your values shaped not only your dreams and your goals, but they affected how you displayed your emotions and how much self-esteem and how you carried yourself when you walked into the room. So that was one of the really cool things that he mentioned, was how your values are there to help you reach your goals. And without those strong values rooted in whatever you believe in, your goals and your dreams, they're seldom to become nothing.
I also like how in his delivery, he was able to tell that no matter where you are, your surroundings don't define who you are as a person. So what you may have went through when you were younger or what you go through now does not define you as a person, but you make your own shadow. You make your own footprint that people can follow behind and people can look up to. And just hearing his story about his life and how he was able to just stay focused and to stay narrow on his path just was truly inspiring, simply because, like, he was able to actually explain it in detail and tell us some of the things that we would have never expected had he not told us that. So that was also a very, very, very good detailed breakdown of just about how important it is to keep your values in line of what you want.
And then we ended off the week with, of course, empowerment and empowering yourself. And our Vice President and Provost, Dr. Michelle McCann, came in and gave a nice spiel about being empowered and just really embracing who you are and what you bring to the table, using those same concepts we've been talking about all week, that just kind of really wrapped everything together. And I know the students really enjoyed this day as well.
And also, as you can see, we had a lot of fun. You see us laying down on the front. We kind of just had a good chance. One of the main things that we instilled with this program was the fact that every time that we had a presenter, a speaker, anybody that did us a service, we would have the students line up and one by one shake their hand and say thank you. And I feel like sometimes we get so rushed in life that we don't even take a chance to thank ourselves, to thank others around us, to thank the people that have cared for us, that have showed us to get to the point that we are. And that just was something that was truly inspiring. And even myself, being able to line up with them and say, hey, thank you for your service. Thank you for coming to be here for us. Thank you for providing us with your time. You can definitely tell that people were actually appreciative to that approach. People actually listened to that approach, and they were actually grateful to be there.
But yes, so like I said, we wrapped up the week with talking about the empowerment and just like Ashawn said, we're just really instilling in the children not only to be thankful, but to be grateful and to turn the ball, walk into the room with that positive attitude, inspire others, have your own goals, be able to help yourself set those goals, and just use all the resources around you in those adults and mentors to help you reach the goals when you're not able to do it on your own. Hold on, wait, I was trying to get. Okay, but that was our little spiel of a little recap from our Dreams Intervention Program this summer. We still have about 5 minutes before the next panel makes their way up. So if you guys need to, you can go take a break or have a little coffee to kind of pick you up. And after that, we'll be back with our health panel. If I could, I'll ask those members of the health panel to come and join me here on the stage. Everyone else, please find your seats since we're going to get started here just in 1 second. All right, our third and final panel presentation this morning is our health panel. This discussion will focus on programs and health initiatives that have successfully met the needs of our communities, including physical and mental health care. And without further ado, I will turn it over to the health panel moderator.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you guys for staying with us. My name is Ebony Watson. I'm the associate professor at the Kitty Degree School of Nursing, and I'm honored to guide today's conversation. Food insecurity isn't just about hunger. It's about access, dignity, and community well-being. Today's conversation is about how we can work together across organizations, neighborhoods, and sectors to build communities where everyone can eat well and thrive. So we've identified that it's a big problem in the United States, and I just want to give you a couple of numbers. Where 47 million people in the United States, including 13 million children, experience food insecurity annually. And if we look at Louisiana, the food stats show that about 827,690 people in Louisiana live with food insecurity. And of those, approximately 248,630 are children. So that works out to be roughly 18% of state population, or about 1 in 6 people experiencing food insecurity. Ouachita Parish rate is 19%, but compared to East Carroll Parish, food insecurity rate is 24.7%. I was so excited to see the Food Bank of Northeast Louisiana because they distribute pounds of food, and the people that they serve are monthly. And across 12 regions, they serve 63,740 people. Just recently, the USDA Annual Household Food Security Report, the only national data source that measures hunger by age, was canceled for the first time in 30 years. America will no longer track hunger nationwide. Without that data, millions of adults will vanish from the view as the social safety net continues to collapse around them. So as I'll introduce to you my 5 wonderful panelists whose work touches this from different angles, from health and education to social services and community outreach. I will briefly introduce them. I have Dr. Anita Sharma. She's a licensed clinical social worker, professor in gerontology, and is the founding director of the Gerontology Education, Research, and Outreach Institute at the University of Louisiana Monroe. She has 35 years of professional experience in mental health and psychotherapy. Dr. Sharma is passionately committed to gerontology education, research, and community outreach initiatives. Next is Latina Williams. She is the Chief Health Equity Officer at Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health Systems. She has 25 years of healthcare leadership experience with a focus on connecting health equity initiatives to businesses' outcome. Ms. Williams is a Louisiana native involved in community work and advocacy for underserved populations. Next, we have Mr. Jennifer Kimball, who has been working in the healthcare for over 37 years. Currently, she serves the mental health community as well as providing hospice inpatient care in the Shreveport-Bossier area. In 2020, Jennifer founded Proactive Partners, which is a nonprofit organization providing free dementia education to caregivers and first responders. Next, we have Dr. Harrington Watson III. He is an educational trailblazer and a third-generation educator dedicated to transforming the landscape of education in Monroe City Schools as its first chief operating officer. He began his career impacting scholars in grades 4 through 6, where he fostered a love for learning among the scholars. With over 15 years of experience in educational leadership,
Serving as an assistant principal and as a principal, he has successfully implemented initiatives that led to significant improvements in academics and athletics. And our fifth panelist is Ms. Katrina Young. She is a licensed clinical social worker who has been serving this area for over 15 years. She entered the profession to explore her passions and to advocate for social justice, promoting social change. Currently, Ms. Young is employed with the Office of Juvenile Justice, providing mental health and sex offender treatment to juveniles and conducting mental health trainings across the state of Louisiana. If you will, welcome my panelists. So with that, let's dive right in. Each of you brings a unique lens to this issue. Could you briefly share what food insecurity and good nutrition looks like from your perspective, and what challenges you're seeing most in your work right now? Yes. Yes. I think we have to press a button. Yes. I think it's red. Yes.
Hello. Can you hear me? Good morning, everyone. I am here. First of all, I am in really elite company over here. It's wonderful to have the panelists that I'm sitting with. And they are going to be covering different populations and different perspectives. And I would like to discuss the perspective from the point of view of older adults. Being in gerontology, that is something that I think concerns not only me as a professional, but I think all of us should be worrying about food insecurity among the older adults. First of all, America is aging. According to the most recent survey, in about 7 years, by 2031, we will have more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 17. We are getting old, okay, which is very good. Being old means we are alive, okay? So that's very good. Now, the sad thing is that because so many people are growing old, we don't have the resources to deal with that explosion of age. So we have far more people who are aging than the resources that we can offer. And food insecurity becomes a major problem with the older population. And you pointed out some statistics. Nationwide, we have about 7 million people who are experiencing food insecurity, 11%, which is about 11%. And when we come down to Louisiana, I'm very proud to be living in Louisiana. I am a Louisianan. Don't listen to my accent, but I am a Louisianan. So I'm very proud. I have been here for almost, 32 years now. So I am part and parcel of it. The sad thing is that Louisiana has the worst food insecurity among the older population. We are at the bottom. We should not. We are an agricultural state. We are growing so much. We have so much to offer. So it kind of baffles why we would have so much food insecurity. In Louisiana, as you compare it to the national average in Louisiana, we have 8% older adults that are living with food insecurity, which is twice the rate of what is in the nation. Okay, that should not be happening. So why would that happen, given the fact that we grow a lot, we offer a whole lot? And I think this is a trend that we will see among the southern states, according to most surveys. And a lot of surveys have been done. The last that I read about was done in 2022. So they're still working on new surveys. And please don't think that surveys are the last word in trying to find out how bad a problem is, because surveys can only determine based on the responses. And a lot of people are not responding to these surveys. If they're living out in the boonies, they may not even know what is going on in the rest of the state. So very often, statistics can be very misleading because we may not be reaching the crux of the problem. We may not be reaching that population. So some of the reasons that have been pointed out that why we might have so much food insecurity in Louisiana among the older adults is, first of all, fixed income, which is true across the nation. Yes, fixed income will make it very difficult, but also lower socioeconomic levels, and we do have problems of poverty in Louisiana. Unfortunately, as much as I love my state, we cannot deny the fact that we do have a lot of poverty. In most surveys done across the nation, Louisiana turns up somewhere at the bottom of the list, 50th, 49, 48, 47, in various factors, whether it is poverty, maternity health, mortality rate, infant mortality, whatever factors we are looking at, we find that we are somewhere at the bottom of the chart. Additionally, because of lack of education and because of higher levels of poverty, we also have not enough information given out about diets and nutrition. Louisiana, unfortunately, also has very high rates of chronic illness, such as diabetes, heart problems, high blood pressure. All of these are really connected with lack of education, lack of right food, lack of enough resources to help people find the right kind of nutrition and the right kind of diet and the right kind of health care. Okay? A lot of these problems are preventable with a lifestyle that promotes good eating habits, good sleeping habits, and good exercise habits. Those are the factors that we usually connect with good health. And all of those may not be available to our older adults that are not provided with that information, okay? When people live in poverty, they will access whatever is available, okay? They may not be able to pay for high-costing food, such as fresh fruits, nutritious items. So very often, that lack of accessibility, lack of education, and lack of resources would end in food insecurity. Additionally, we have, and COVID made it worse. COVID made this worse. We have social isolation. Older adults are dealing with social isolation a whole lot more than they were before. The pandemic made it just worse. And when people are socially isolated, at some point, self-neglect may begin because they may feel they're disconnected with the rest of the world. They may feel that people don't care about them. They may go into depression. They may begin to experience other mental health issues, and very often that is related to our daily living style, okay? So they may not be eating the right meals at the right time. They may be skipping meals. So very often social isolation is related to health issues because they are not eating the right food at the right time. They may have to cook the food themselves. And very often, the older you become, you kind of, and especially if you're living by yourself in isolation, you don't care, I mean, look at it. Those who are living by yourself, very often you must be skipping meals because you feel, hey, who's going to cook the whole meal just for one person, right? I mean, I do that very often when I have long days. Who's going to cook? Okay, you have something, whatever is available in your refrigerator or outside, you just kind of munch on it and you go to bed. Okay, so very often people who are living in social isolation may, I hope I'm not going over the time, may want.
We thank you so much, Dr. Sharma. That is.
All right.
Yeah,
I think I did go over the time.
Another panelist, would you like?
What happens when you've been teaching for 30 years?
Good morning. What she said. No, I'm just joking. Well, as she mentioned, I work with the Office of Juvenile Justice. What I did not include is I also work part-time with Oceanus LSU Medical Center. But as you know, we're working with juvenile population. most of our population come from low-income, high-crime areas. And so some of them are committing crimes to actually go and buy food or give food or whatever the case may be because they come from a low-income, high-crime area. And so we see with juveniles, you know, it's hard when you get a juvenile. If any one of you all have raised juveniles, you know, are they going to pick the hot fries or the apple? Hot fries. Are they going to pick the salad or the Sour Patch Kids? Sour Patch Kids. And so when you're working with juveniles, it's not that they don't like it. What we see is when they come into our detention centers, we have a nutritional options. And so we see them choosing the pears and the salads and the baked chicken, but it's because they don't have access to it. As my co-panelist mentioned, whenever you're coming from a low-income, high-crime area, this means that your parents have low income. And so they're trying to make this dollar stretch. And so they're not going for the salads and things of that nature. Most of us have tried diets, and when we go on diets, when you go on the market, the salads, the fruits, the vegetables, they are higher than something easier like hamburger helper or spaghetti or just getting some fried chicken when you leaving work because you're tired. And so you have to be reminded that we are working with juveniles. And as my cohort said, my grandmother, I often think about my grandmother because I work in the hospital and I work with older adults. Even older adults are not choosing the nutritional options. My grandmother, in order for us to get her to eat, will say, my grandmother always asks me when I come in, what sweet treat did you bring me? And I say, my dear, you have to eat your food first. And she'll be like, okay, give it to me. And so it's just not a younger population, but it's also the older population. And so with juveniles, it's just about teaching. They are actually wanting these fruits and vegetables and things of nature, believe it or not, but we have to offer it. They have to have access to it. As she mentioned, in low-income areas, you don't see farmers markets. You see a Dollar General or a dollar store. And with that, what do they sell in those stores? Frozen foods. And so they don't have access to it. And so making access to it, making sure that they understand, hey, these are the options. Would you like it? Let's try it. We can do different things, fruit salads and things of that nature to make it more enjoyable, but they actually do like it. And so, again, it's about education, it's about access, and it's about community involvement. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll try to be succinct is the word. So based on what you heard on this side of the table, as the Chief Health Equity Officer for Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System, just to give you context and perspective, it is the largest faith-based organization across Louisiana and Mississippi. Locally here, we have our very own St. Francis Hospital and Health System. That hospital sees about 57,000 patients in its ER annually, a little north of that. It is a result of the things that these people just spoke about, what both of them just spoke about, right? Because you are what you eat, and it results in poor health. So what we are finding in our health system, in the healthcare industry, regardless of where you are in the healthcare industry, is that our patients are having to make critical decisions. Do I get my medicine or do I put food on the table? Do I get this prescription once I am released and we've made you better? Or do I need transportation, or I have to pay my child care. I'm homeless, or the rent is due, or the utilities are due. And so people are making, and someone up here said it earlier, we're not thriving, we are simply surviving. And as patients, no one in this room is immune to that. Most people are one paycheck away from having to make a crucial or a critical decision. So it's resulting in poor health. It's resulting in our patients having to make decisions that no human being should have to make. It should be affordable and accessible to everyone. And we are sick. Thank you. And as a healthcare organization, we are using evidence-based data to inform our decisions and how our physicians holistically treat each and every patient. We're meeting people where they are and trying to bridge these resources, community resources and programs to our patients so that they don't end up back in our ER again.
Good morning. So I'm a registered nurse. I'm a geriatric nurse. And so I can certainly say that the information that Dr. Sharma gave is indeed correct. And our population is shifting so quickly. And I've been doing care management privately since 2010. Since I got to be a little older and grew my kids out of the house and all that, I've also been able to elect to do some things that I enjoy doing. I have a Master of Education in Psychological Services, so I've worked in psych for many years, and have elected to go back to that with Ochsner, Louisiana Behavioral Health in Shreveport, along with some other places. And one of the things that I see that is the revolving door are the patients in Louisiana Behavioral Health who are often criminal, high criminal background, homeless, and we see the needs. They come in, they have no clothes, they have nothing. They walk in with nothing. And when they have nothing, they go to that ER and they will request, can you send me to Louisiana Behavioral Health? Can you send me there? Well, okay, well, what qualifies you? Well, I've been having thoughts of stepping out in front of a train, and they're looking for 3 hots and a cot. And so we see this routinely in those that are chronically ill, and even some that are not as ill and really don't need to be in the hospital, but they don't have anything for their next meal. They've been on the street for 2 days. They've spent all their money on drugs, if they had any. It could be so many situations, but they literally don't have the next meal. I've also seen, as a solution to some of these things on a daily basis, the staff members providing things kind of like under the table, like you work that job under the table and don't pay taxes on it, right? So we have staff under the table feeding these people, bringing them foods and snacks and things, healthy or not healthy. They don't care, it's food, and supplying clothes for them. So I see these people individually, daily, trying to help some of these people. It's not necessarily helping in the big picture, but it's a solution for the immediate. And as a nurse, you see those immediate needs when they walk in, and your heart goes out to them. And so that's some of the things that I see for especially the younger population. As in geriatric, the needs are so wide. I always say work smarter, not harder. If you are on a fixed income, especially if you're older, have some younger people, if that's the help that you need, have them help order groceries. Learn how to use those apps for your stores that coupon. Have somebody that can master that, and so you can afford more. And you know, if you can't offer something to help them with their food insecurity, go think outside the box. What can you help them with? Can you help them in getting the paper goods that they need, the personal hygiene things? If you are good at something else, if you've got it mastered that you can go to CVS and save a bundle on paper towels and toilet paper, everybody needs this stuff. Reach out, do what you can to provide for somebody else. You may not be expert in diets. You may not be experts in growing a garden, but you can teach somebody, if you learn, how to do other things. That may be something very different. I teach people how to get their loved one with dementia, how to eat at all. And it's a food insecurity in a way, because the loved one's insecure. They're not eating. How do I get them to do this? It doesn't matter how much money you have. There's just different visions of what that food insecurity is for everybody up here. But think outside the box. If you are not the one, and let me tell you, I will never be a dietitian. I know that it is, eat to fuel your body instead of comfort your mind, or, but me and little Debbie are like this, and she makes me so incredibly happy. So the struggle is real. If that is not your forte, look at what you can do to ease the burden on somebody else in another way. I see the picture of what this is to me on a daily basis is dealing with such a wide variety of people, some with money that they'll never run out of, and some with nothing except for the scrubs on their back that they came in from the emergency room at Ochsner. So there's always something that you can do. Never think that you're too small to remedy some of these problems. I think there's an old proverb about thinking you're too small to do anything. You've probably never spent the night in a room with a mosquito. You can make an impact on some level with some of these populations somewhere. So keep that in mind, and think outside the box when you're thinking about food insecurity. It could be right in front of you and you don't realize it.
Thank you.
Good morning. And I guess in my role as Chief of Operations, I have several things under my umbrella, and they include the Child Nutrition and Food Services. And in that role, we always try to think about what's best for children. I think most of us, and a lot of times you don't think about children not eating. When I became a school teacher, I taught fourth grade. And when I taught fourth grade, I never thought about the fact that kids may not have something to eat when they go home. We think about in the cafeteria, we serve our breakfast in the morning, we serve lunch in the afternoon. And you think everyone goes home at about 3 o'clock and they just go straight to the cabinet or go to a cupboard and grab, whatever there is that you would like to eat. But when I started teaching, I found out that everyone does not have a place to go. They don't have something to grab when they get home. So it becomes, I guess the onus is on us as the school system. And then I think they alluded to it earlier. They talked about the fact that in some of the low socioeconomic or impoverished communities, we take up the mantle as the school system to make sure that we have nutritious meals that are filling for kids. And the thing is, a lot of times we don't think about the fact that it's not equitable. If a kid comes in, and I just think about my kid, he can grab what he wants. But there are kids that don't have anything to eat when they go home, so that kid may need more. And the school system is not built to handle that right now. And I'm saying that because we have not serviced our kids properly. We have to make sure that all of our children are fed properly on a day-to-day basis. You have kids, when you talk about portion control, the kid that's a 300-pound lineman, he eats a little bit more than a 120-pound cheerleader. I'm thinking that. Don't want to offend anybody. But we would like to say that. So when you have kids that have different needs, you want to go ahead and meet the needs of the children. So we talk about barriers to that. It could be debt. It could be meal debt. It could be something as simple as not just having the funds to pay for their meals. And thankfully in our area, Monroe City and Ouachita Parish, everyone eats free. So we don't have that case anymore where some children are paying for food and some children are not. But those are barriers to I guess, food insecurity. You also have to think about the fact that on the end of the day, that the meals are meals that kids like to eat. I have a kid in school and I ask him all the time, do you like what we serve today? That's my job, is to make sure that we have a menu that's set up for kids to really enjoy the meals, because if they don't like it, guess what? We see it in the trash can. And that's not what we want, because in a lot of places you think about it, we talk about how much food is available, but is it something that kids really want? And if they don't want it, like we talked about choices, some of them pick up a bag of Takis before they'll pick up an apple. Well, we have to make sure that the apple is available to them and try to move the things like the Takis out of the way for them so they don't have those types of choices. But more than anything, we want to make sure we have nutritious meals for kids and put them in a position where they can eat the proper meals daily. So I guess I'm kind of short-winded. I don't have as much to say from that end, because I think my thing is, man, just making sure we take care of children. And my job is to take care of children, so I don't really mince words when it comes to that. We make sure we put them in a position to have the things they need on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're looking at collaboration and action. I would like to ask, food insecurity doesn't have a single solution, and it does take a partnership. Can you share an example of collaboration that's made a difference in your community, and what helped it succeed, or what lessons did you learn? And that's for any panelist.
May I?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Please.
So I loved what Dr. Castile said when she said, if you don't partner, you will perish, and that's important. And we understand that from a healthcare perspective. The two that are up here from Oshna, like, we are all in this together. We look at and consider our health outcomes, and therefore we understand what our role is as a healthcare provider and where we need to partner to make sure that our patients have what is necessary to stay and remain healthy. So we have a couple of programs and partnerships with our area food banks, one in the making in this market, underway shortly, but we consider food to be medicine. And so we offer our patients who are in need or who disclose through a screening process that food may be insecure, we offer them food boxes. We offer them help and resources of the programs within their area, within their zip code, where they can receive that help. We offer connectivity into those programs, and so we are fully utilizing community health workers that support our social workers to help bridge our patients to the necessary community resources so that they can remain healthy. Likewise, we see a lot of partnership, and we understand what we're good at and what we're not good at, and so and we've got to get better as a community collectively in those partnerships, funding essential programs to make sure that those programs are available to every person in the community. Likewise, we have a 7-week Go Get Healthy program to help our patients learn how to prepare healthy meals, how to get out and exercise, food and cooking demonstrations, recipes, healthy recipes, cooking meals on a budget. All of those things. And so we have really invested in what we call our mission focused work. It is who we are as an organization. We are investing more in our community health outreach and impact. We have free homeless clinics in some of our markets, hoping to open one here soon. And again, it's about meeting people where they are, but we also have what I call, and I love, Clinic Without Walls, where our team is going out, this beautiful table here, they're going out in rural areas, in underserved zip codes, in churches, in schools, and offering health screenings so that we can tell you what's happening and offer you a road to a healthier lifestyle. And so we offer health education, food as education, and resourcing all within our ministry. But we also are actively partnering with our community resources to make sure that we're funneling people in our community who have needs. We're connecting them to the right community services.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we see from a health standpoint that the accessibility and affordability is an issue and is worsening with disease management. As we look ahead, if you could strengthen one part of the collaboration around food and nutrition, whether it's communication, funding, education, or community engagement, what would it be? Or what could you see as being one big change in how we collaborate over these issues over the next 5 years?
May I address
Yes.
that? And I think we would all like to address this because we are all working with this issue. And is it still on?
It's on.
Hello? Okay. I think, and you pretty much summed it up very nicely, food insecurity cannot be addressed without collaboration. It really takes a village to be able to feed a village. So unless we are all working together, we will not be able to help our older adults, our children, and those who are lacking in resources, people who are homeless, people who are dealing with disabilities, people who are dealing with life, just a life that is just not working out, you know? And all of us have been there. Most of us are fortunate that we are able to put food on our table, but there are so many millions of people who are not able to do that. And when we talk about food insecurity, it is just not food, it is also good quality food. So unless we are all working together, and I think the most important thing I would think are education. I'm an educator, so I will emphasize on education, but it really is the truth. If we can begin to educate the layperson about food and how to address that lack of good food or lack of food, we might be able to address this problem. And it is just not educating people, it is educating professionals, it is educating organizations, educating people how to come together to address this. And we are very lucky to be living in a community where there is a lot of collaboration. We have the food bank, we have the churches, we have the seniors. If I look at it from the older people's point of view, we have the senior centers. Food bank has a program for seniors. Churches go out of their way to help people, especially when there is an emergency. All of this, if you look at it, look back, 4 years ago, when we were all hit, we were dealing with the pandemic, did you see how the whole community came together to help each other? It was amazing. It was amazing how much people were willing to collaborate. So education and outreach are very, very important. You know, where we are, if people cannot come to us, we go to people, okay? And Louisiana, especially North Louisiana, has a lot of rural pockets. They will not come to us for help. We will have to go to them to provide and find out what they need and provide that help. Transportation is a big problem, especially for older adults. They don't have the means to come to clinics. They don't have the means to come to senior centers, so we take it to them. And senior centers like the councils on aging offer Meals on Wheels, especially for those people who are not able to get out of their homes. They have a disability, they're homebound, and they do offer Meals on Wheels, but those are only available 5 days a week. What about the weekends? Do they stop eating during the weekend? And that's where, again, collaboration comes in, you know, where people are willing to come, organizations, churches, formal, informal agencies are willing to come together to fill in the gaps that are being left by other agencies. So really, if we can educate people about the gaps that are there that we can fulfill, we may be able to address food insecurity. And there's one more point I want to make. Grandparents raising grandchildren. Okay, when that happens, then grandparents are not only taking responsibility for themselves, they're taking responsibility for the child that they're raising, a grandchild. I've even seen great-grandchildren being raised by great-grandparents, and that's where all of us come together. The school system, the hospital system, the healthcare system, they all come together to address the needs of the child and the grandparent.
Thank you.
I would say all of the above. You need education, of course, but in order to educate, you have to have finances. Because education, you're going out, you're doing outreach. You need a means to go out and buy, do outreach. Gas, you need pamphlets, you need information, so you need finances. But then who are we going out to educate? The community. And so for me, I would say all of the above is needed in order for us to make sure that we combat food insecurities. Also, when I think about outreach, I think about even in a healthcare setting, we need empathy. Because whenever they consult me as a social worker, whenever I go in to see families, especially families with children, oh, I could tell you, I can see their face. They're very guarded. They are afraid because everybody think that the social worker works for DCFS. And all social workers are here to take my children. And so when you're asking them, hey, tell me about in the last 12 months, have you been able to afford food? They're like, yeah. You know, you have to go in with empathy and compassion, saying, hey, I'm not here, I'm just wanting to know, because I want to educate you on these resources. And then sometimes even when educating, making it available, putting them in the rooms, in the hospital rooms, even we put them in the dormitories, even when the children go home, make sure they are aware of the services that are out there in the community, because if they don't know, then they're not going to go to it. And that we're not here to judge you. We're not here to judge you. We're here to help you. So making sure that you, with all of the above, that you lead with empathy and compassion and let them know that I'm not here to judge you. I'm only here to help you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to up the ante a little bit, and I want you to remember two things, cultural accountability and self-accountability. Two things. Repeat after me. Culturally accountability.
Cultural accountability.
And then self-accountability.
Self-accountability.
Okay, I have a lot of young people in the back. I want you to look eyeball to eyeball with me, because this is going to be very, very important. Culturally, we have to engage in managing our health. We love the great state of Louisiana. I am born and raised native of Louisiana. The food is amazing. The food is amazing. We can honor our family traditions. Big Mama is what I called my grandmother, Big Mama, and modify how we prepare food and still enjoy our amazing food. We have to make our health a priority, and then we demonstrate that. We change our behavior. We become models for the next generation, our children, and then we shift our culture. If we want Louisiana to get from the bottom to the top, then the people in this room will need to take some cultural accountability to change our behaviors. Second, self-accountability. My mother died of a heart attack when she was 45 years young. We are, I would call us middle class family. So we're not impoverished. I'm fairly intelligent. I understand, but there are still things and dots that I have to connect to prioritize my health. When I need to make sure I show up for my annual screenings and my appointment, and when my doctor orders a lab, I need to go actually to the lab and do the labs and complete the labs so that the doctor knows what is going on the inside of me, and I do have to follow up. I have to take the medications that they are prescribing. We also have to be culturally competent and understand how people from various cultures, how that impacts our health. So when I speak to cultural accountability and when I speak to self-accountability, connecting the dot. My mother died at age 45. I am now 50 years old. I did not want to die of a heart attack. She was not overweight. She had access to all of her prescriptions and medications. There were just some dots and some gaps that did not connect. I became a fitness instructor to increase my self-accountability. Okay. That is how you change. Thank you for that. But everyone in this room, the people on this panel, you as a parent, me as an aunt, we have to make our health care a priority. It takes a village to feed a village. The onus is not always on the hospital and the physician and the provider. They are doing the things that they need to do. We need to do our part, and we need to have these conversations at the dinner table and demonstrate that same behavior and model that behavior for the people that are always looking at us.
Thank you.
I have one little comment. Just yesterday, I was in conversation with a very large provider of service, a physician in Shreveport, and we were talking about the food security or food insecurity issue. And he made the comment that, yeah, we screen, but basically we ask for it, and that's about as far as it goes. So if I had to invest in education time, I'm not really sure what I would pick to fix that. But if one of you youngsters is an entrepreneur or can think outside the box, but somehow, again, connect the dots there where the physicians are leaving off and they're screening and finding these people, but then it goes no further. Where is the connection, and how can that be made? Whether that is through funding or education, the combination of things, however that is made, that's a missing piece right there. I do know that coming out of the hospitals, there are some managed care, Medicare managed care programs that have programs and things that are basically provide meals maybe 5 or 10 days after they're out of the hospital. But outside of that, I don't know of a lot of continuity, or not any that goes very far. But when they're walking into the doctor's office and they're managing their heart disease, which is the #1 reason that people die, when they are in that doctor's office and they have food insecurity, probably they're going to be getting the cheapest of foods, and they're, whatever they can that is very high salt content, if it's in a can or whatever, if it's not fresh food, they're now just putting more into their system that's going to cause that heart attack much faster. So whatever that missing piece is from the time that they're screened, whether it be in the emergency room or at the doctor's office, there's a missing piece there. So there's something to think about if you're one of those people who can get your wheels turning.
I guess from our perspective, we look at the communication and education aspect of it. We have several partners that we partner with. We talk about United Way, we talk about the food banks, and we have a lot of community partners that chip in to make sure that our students are taken care of. So from that aspect, I think the hardest part with us is just admitting that there is a problem. Because most of the time when, I think Ms. Young alluded to it, if you don't let anybody know what's going on, we can't help you. And a lot of times people are guarded about it. They don't want to share that information. So we have to kind of pick. You have teachers that will go in and say, well, hey, look, doc, we have a kid that has something. We'll give them a backpack for the weekend or give them some things that they can use. But a lot of times people are very guarded with this information. They don't want to share it. So I think the biggest thing with us is just letting us know what's going on, and then we can help from there.
Thank you.
That's one more point, if it is
Yes.
okay. You know, other panels talked about chronic diseases like, coronary heart disease and um, diabetes and blood pressure. For the last 2 or 3 years, I've been conducting trainings on dementia care, and I don't know how many of you are aware that you can actually slow down, or even some research indicates you can prevent symptoms of dementia with the right diet and the right lifestyle. Okay, and I'll give a very simple example. Think of the days when you have not eaten. How much do you forget? Okay, so very often dementia may be related to lifestyle changes, diet and cognitive stimulation. And you cannot have cognitive stimulation if you have not eaten the right kind of food, So food is connected, the right food, not $1 burgers, no. But the right kind of food is connected to healthy cognitions, healthy physical health, and mental health. All of these are interrelated factors, okay? So, the sad thing is that people don't know how some of these diseases are preventable, and that's where education comes in. That we help people understand that you don't have to live a life that becomes disabled because you were not educated about an illness or a disease.
Thank you. We love to bring. Yes, thank you. We love to bring in your voices. Does anyone have a question or a short reflection for our panelists? No questions? Well, we're very familiar with diabetes, hypertension. We do have a question. Yes. We'll get a mic to you, Mr. Conrad. Even though I think we could hear you, though.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this panel. Thank you all so much for being so informative and how your different organizations are collaborating together. We've had so many great conversations today, and I would just like to offer a solution. And I think that whenever I lived here in Monroe, I really tried hard to get a food policy council going, and there have been so many communities across Louisiana and the country, like New Orleans or Alexandria or Baton Rouge, who have food policy councils that work in conjunction with city councils and local government that are made up of the civic, the private, and the public sectors of our society that come together and have a conversation about food policy. And I think that that's something that is missing here in North Louisiana, and we can't just be all talk. We have to, I'm a farmer. I believe in getting things done. And so I would just really love to see something like that be born out of the conversations that we've had here today. So that's my 2 cents.
Great idea. Thank you. Well, I want to thank you all for such thoughtful insights for the work that you do every day to make sure our communities can thrive. We've heard the collaboration isn't just about sharing resources, but it's about sharing purpose. Each of our panelists reminded us that the food is a connector, a teacher, and a foundation for thriving communities. Let's take what we've learned here and keep building together. So please join me in thanking our panelists for their time and wisdom, and thank you for being a part of this ongoing effort to build a healthier and more connected community. Thank you. And we're going to exit on that side. Okay. I had my time. Oh, yeah, I think so. Oh, okay, I'm so sorry.
At this time, I would like to call Dr. Carl Tamling to the stage as he presents our Changemaker Award.
I'm good. This is working. Well, good morning, and we've heard 3 very informative panel discussions today, and I would just like to recognize them again. Could we give them all a round of applause? I find it a privilege and an honor to be here at this particular time of the program and to recognize the following change makers. But before I identify who those change makers are, I want to tell you that I was not the only one involved in identifying these change makers. And I also want to recognize my colleague, Jeffrey Sims, who helped coordinate this program. And Deborah Craighead, she was also on this committee as well, who's the chair. Let me tell you some criteria that were used to vet these particular change makers. You know, one criterion was community engagement. A second criterion was professional development impact, the scope of their work, initiative and commitment, inspiration and storytelling, and vision for this future. So there was a 100-word commitment for those 6 criterion. And so I can't read every word of each letter, but if you had read their letters, you would probably be like me, emotional, because they have made an impact on their community. And so their stories are really important. So what I'm going to do is just paraphrase. I'm going to lift some things out of the letters that people sent in for these particular change makers. This nominee is currently self-employed. They're the founding CEO of a consulting and literacy company. This nominee is also an entrepreneur who volunteers and educates her community daily through strategic and creative workshops and seminars. The measurable impact of her work is that it goes from generation to generation, assisting with generational wealth and overcoming trauma. Over thousands of lives have been touched in areas such as Union Parish, Ouachita Parish, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and more. This nominee's story is very inspiring and outstanding because she's a single mother who overcame many barriers and used those obstacles to be the change maker she wants to see, or see the change in her community. This nominee's story could motivate individuals, organizations, or communities because she has a story of what resilience looks like and communicate and bridge the gap with community and education. And that nominee is Jamie Mays. Jamie Mays, please come forward. Please come forward, Jamie. And Jamie, if I could ask you to stay up front somewhere because we're going to take a group picture. This next nominee, he has been a volunteer at the Simple Project, a local homeless ministry, since its starting nearly 16 years ago. In 2010, he became the president of this nonprofit organization since 2010. In 2014, after feeding the homeless in the streets of downtown Monroe, he purchased a house at 619 Wood Street. The house was built in 1937 and required major repairs. Once starting at the Simple Project in 2010, his dream grew by leaps and bounds. The homeless know him by name and are always respectful, appreciative of his efforts for them. Many are veterans who live in our city streets, sleeping in alleyways, and some under flatbed trailers to get out of the rain. After 16 years of continuous serving, I believe he should be acknowledged by those who may offer support or encouragement. A growing ministry needs support through prayer, servitude, and funding. His story brings community support and recognition to the homeless, problems in our city. Northeast Louisiana is a community of believers and achievers who help the simple project ministry reach its goals of caring and sharing with community. And that nominee is Brent Veridan. Brent, please come forward. Our next nominee has several bases or contexts from which she delivers her volunteer ministry. She's a member of Jesus Good Shepherd Church in Monroe, Louisiana, where she is a St. Vincent de Paul ministry volunteer. St. Vincent de Paul was mentioned earlier in a couple of the other panels. I think when the students from your teacher from St. Frederick's was here speaking earlier today, I think she mentioned St. Vincent de Paul. It's a program that's adopted at all the Catholic churches here in the community. The nominee is a recognized individual in Monroe and Catholic community for her service to the poor. She serves with faith, prayer, and love. When the poor are fed through the St. Vincent de Paul program of Monroe, fewer go hungry and feel insecure about food. The nominee is not a wealthy woman. She's an ordinary citizen of the Monroe community who does a lot with very little. Many of her volunteers distribute Christmas toys to children who would go without a Christmas gift, turkeys to families for Thanksgiving, and to organize the poor man's annual fundraiser supper. Come from the Monroe Catholic community, Knights of Columbus, and St. Frederick High School. Let's give St. Frederick High School another applause, please. This nominee is a modest individual who serves the Monroe community needy with passion, fierceness, faithfulness, kindness, and love, and has done so for several years. Having a substantial meal to fill your empty stomach is taken for granted for fortunate ones, but a hungry person only knows gratefulness for the hand that provides them a meal. This nominee is the person that is that giving hand who feeds and fuels the poor. And that nominee is Joanne Crone. Joanne, please come forward to join us. Thank you. If all the nominees would come forward and together to take a picture. I'm going to give the podium back to Sean or Vincent so they can make some closing remarks, because we want you to complete a form, a survey. We also want you to know about the future conferences that are taking place, the local and the international one, and we want to make sure that you do complete that survey. Thank you all very much, and thank you, Jeffrey and Deborah, for helping me with this program.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Before we officially close, I would like to take a moment to extend a heartfelt thanks to a few very important groups of people and individuals who helped make today a success. First, thank you for all of our vendors for being here and sharing your valuable resources and information. Thank you as well to the conference planning and organizing committees for this incredible dedication and the efforts in making the inaugural event a reality. We also want to express our sincere gratitude for ULM for hosting this inaugural Let Us Dream conference. A big, super big thank you goes out to the Bayou Point staff for setting up this beautiful room and ensuring everything ran so smoothly throughout the day. And finally, a very special thank you to all the student volunteers. Your enthusiasm, hard work, and hospitality truly has helped make this conference a success. Please give all these individuals a round of applause. A couple quick reminders before we wrap up. First, please take a moment to complete the conference survey. We'll be putting that on the screen, the QR code. Yes. Once you complete this, it will give you a document for your participation today, including the date and time. You can scan the QR code that's displayed on the screen or use the one printed on the agenda at your table. Simply take a picture of the code with your phone and follow the prompts on your screen. Also, I want to give a special shout out to Mr. Vincent here. Thank you for being able to be flexible with us.
Next, we'd like to just remind everyone about the upcoming local and international Let Us Dream conferences. You can find details for those events on the screens. As you can see here, the one at Christ University in Bangalore, India, as in 2026. This is the tri-annual conference, as well as the one at Louisiana Tech, the community conference in 2027. As we conclude the conference portion of today's program, we invite all of you to stay for the networking session, which begins immediately after and will take place right here in this room from 12 to 1 p.m. It's been a wonderful opportunity to host you guys here today, and I've had such a great day. It was wonderful. And on behalf of the Let Us Dream organization, everyone here who helped bring this event to life, thank you all for attending, participating, and helping to make this conference such a meaningful and successful experience for everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you all again for the next Let Us Dream conference. Thank you. Oh, and for the health committee, if you could come and grab a photo in front of the official backdrop.
Let's give these two gentlemen a round of applause. The Let Us Dream organization is about mentoring young people, and we're happy that we have young people here today to help with a number of roles. One of the things that I do want to reinforce is the triennial international conference. It happens every 3 years. There you'll hear, just like you did today, many people who have started or initiated a particular program that helped change their community. And as you know, many people of you know Father Lijo. He is the founder and the director of the Let Us Dream organization. And I'm going to pass the mic over to him so that he can make some final comments.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, the chair and the entire team for organizing such a wonderful conference this year in Monroe. And this is the first time it started in 2017 at Louisiana Tech University. Now, this conference is branched out into different countries. Parallelly, it is happening in Poland, in Germany, in India, in multiple cities. This conference is happening by the community, a team, every location. So every 3 years, we freeze all the local conferences, and we come together transnationally or one location. So next year, the triennial conference is happening at Christ University, India. So I invite each and every one of you who attended this conference at every location, and Christ University is hosting you. You know, of course, it's a free conference, no registration fees. It's all taken care of by the university, your accommodation, your airport pickup to drop off, everything. So on behalf of Christ University, I invite each and every one of you to come attend the third triennial international conference of Let Us Dream on November 19th, 20th, and 21st, 2026. So welcome you all to India. And after that, 2027, we will go back to Louisiana Tech and for the next year, 2027 conference. So thank you again, and I take this opportunity to thank all of you, St. Francis team and the entire panelists and all the speakers and those who are truly making impact in our community in Monroe, Reston, Grambling. Thank you very much. Wish you all a wonderful continued journey of making changes in our community. Thank you.